Hey guys, the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for July 9, 2025. I'm going to look at the best and worst fantasy football players to draft from each round. I'm going to go 12 rounds because the final few rounds you're just drafting kickers and defenses. So we're gonna share that list, and then our co-host here is going to talk about whether or not he agrees with the list. So that should be fun. Before we get into all that, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something from the merch store. It is for the first time on the stream. September is last month. There we go. It's a lot of stuff on that shirt. It's my father-in-law's favorite shirt, by the way. I got him this for his birthday, and he told me he wears it around everywhere. And he's gotten some. He's according to him, he's gotten some very strange looks from people, but he likes trolling people. So I figured he'd like it. This is the main thing. Here it is. September is Lust month, and it's not quite September yet, but it is around the corner, as you guys know from the fantasy stuff. So you can get it, and remember, Lust rights are human rights. There are other shirts here. You can get them in long sleeve. You can get them in hoodie. You can get them in girls tank top and infant onesie too. So you can get your infant cousin or nephew, whatever. September is Lust month, and that his mother could probably yell at you, but that's going to be fun too. 15% off right now. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years. I made fun of people I met at Penn State. I was there for 6 years, so I think you guys would like reading it. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. It's the best way to support the show. We've gotten some great super chats in the past, but I mean, really, I say this all the time. YouTube ads pay nothing. So if you guys really want to keep the show going, that is definitely the best way to do it. All right, we are joined by Ben Wassley from FFDFantasyFootball.com. Ben, how's it going?
Look, I'm back in the office. I'm no longer sitting in a puddle of water while recording with you. It's going well. Still got a week left of holiday, so loving life.
That's the first thing I noticed when you came on. There was no longer a black background. You're back to where you were before. So I'm glad to hear your wet carpet is no longer wet and you're able to be in your usual place.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It was lovely to have like a little swimming pool. Unfortunately, it's winter here, so not particularly useful. So I couldn't even get the most of it. So, look, just back in the dry space. It's nice and warm. Everyone's happy. It's good.
Well, okay, so it's my weekly Australian question. So as you said, it is winter, and for a second I was like, winter. Oh yeah, Southern Hemisphere. So how cold is it down there in Australia during the winter time? This would be our January, I suppose.
It get where I live in Brisbane, which is kind of like, I guess, most equivalent to like a Florida or a California, maybe. It gets as low as maybe like mid to high 30s.
Okay.
And like on an average day, we'll get up into the 50s, maybe the 60s. So it like I could easily wear a t-shirt outside right now in the middle of the day and it would be no problem. But in the evening, it's like definitely at least jacket weather. You would definitely not go out without wearing a jumper or a jacket of some sort.
Okay. Well, I'm jealous because where I live, it gets to on normal average, it's like 20 to 30 in January, February weather. Sometimes it gets a little bit colder than that, but usually it hovers around 20, 30. If we're lucky, it'll be like 40 or something. But yeah, no t-shirts for me in my winter time here and right outside of Philadelphia. Obviously, there are places in the U.S. where you can. Who are teachers all year round, but I am jealous, and it's got, I don't know. I say it's got to be weird that Christmas comes around, there's no snow, it's very hot, but I guess you're used to it, so I don't know. Maybe it's weird for you just to think about.
It has literally never snowed where I live. Like there has been no snow in Brisbane ever. So Christmas with snow would be very strange, but any time having snow would be totally out of the park for us.
It's really never, because you said it gets down to 30. It's never snowed? Really?
Nope. Never.
Wow. Okay.
It never even gets down below freezing. There are places in Australia where it does snow, but and even in my state, but not my hometown. No, we're right on the ocean, so it doesn't really work.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we had a couple statements here. Brandon says Adam Rank is terrible at his job. Is that in reference to something he's done recently? I don't know. I never really followed his work. I couldn't tell you anything about him. I know who he is. I could identify him. I've seen him on TV. I just never really paid attention to him. So I'll take your word for it, I guess. And then Sue says, I wonder what the most Ben would pay for a hot dog. Now I don't know what your currency exchange is. I googled it. It said $1.50 in Australian, I think. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
about that.
correct. So how much would you pay for a hot dog?
I actually bought what we call a Dagwood dog down here, which is
Mm.
basically like a deep fried wiener. I guess I don't. You probably call it a corn dog, maybe. I'm not
Okay, that
sure.
makes sense. Yeah.
And that cost me $10 US just the other day. And that was pretty extreme, but I was willing to do it because it was like massive. It was this thing was huge. It's like wider than my screen. What's wrong with my fingers? There we go. Like this was enormous, and it was worth it. And gosh, it was worth every cent.
That sounds delicious. What about like a regular like if you're it's going to a restaurant or fast food place and you're in the mood for a hot dog, how much would you pay for a hot dog? Because this is in
Oh,
reference to Jerks of the Week.
look, I definitely would not be paying more than like $6 or $7 US. That would be crazy. Down here, food's pretty cheap, so that would be crazy.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. You say $6 or $7. So my wife chided me for paying $7 for a hot dog at Five Guys, which I always joke that like you need a second mortgage to eat at Five Guys because it's so expensive. Normally here, like if I went to like a youth sporting event when I was a kid, it would be $1. There's like dollar dog nights at the Philadelphia Phillies games. So and I did the math. Like if you buy all the hot dogs and the buns at a supermarket, it's like 80 cents per hot dog or 81 cents. So it really shouldn't be like $7. I could see like $2 or $3. The seven's insane. And this all stemmed from when I went to this place called Nifty Fifties for Father's Day, which is a 50 styles restaurant around here. It's such delicious food. But my wife, she's like, all right, we're gonna get hot dogs for the kids. And I looked at the menu and they're like $4 each or something. I'm like, that's a lot for you. Are you sure? Because she always complains about the price of hot dogs. And she's like, no, they have dollar deals here. They better have dollar deals. She sounds so angry. She's like, if they're not going to give us hot dogs for $1, I'm going to cause a ruckus here. And so the poor waiter is like scared out of his mind. he's like, I'll check. And he came back. He's like, oh yeah, we have $1 hot dogs. She's like, okay, we'll get two. So
Oh boy.
that is why Slew is asking this question. So interesting that you said $7 because that according to my wife, that's like she's like put her foot down. She's like, you better not do it, and I did it because I was in the mood. So surprised
We
that yeah.
one thing that we do have down here, I don't know if you do it in the US, but we have sausage sizzles. Like sausage sizzles are a real thing in Australia. We have like whenever you go to a hardware store, you can always get like a sausage and bread and like a soda. Or whenever you go to vote in an election, you can get your freedom sausage, which is just like a sausage in bread. And it used to be like $1 each, and now they're like $3.50, and they basically use them to raise money for charity and stuff like this. But you can never go to a hardware store or anything like that without getting a sausage sizzle. It's just compulsory.
And this is another reason I should move to Australia.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, we have nothing like that here. Well, I mean, look, you can get one of those, but not at like a hardware store or voting. You get stickers here for voting. I feel so gypped.
Yeah.
I'd
Mate, you
rather
need
much
your
have
freedom
a
sausage, mate.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah.
That last Australian question: is it true that you have to vote, like, or if you don't, you get fined?
Look, realistically, if you don't vote, a lot of the time nothing will happen. But it is technically compulsory to vote, yeah. And they're really pedantic about not allowing you to vote more than once, but making sure you vote exactly once.
But so they won't enforce it. You're saying?
It is sometimes enforced, but a lot of the time you can just make an excuse of some description. But
Okay.
it is legally you must vote, yeah.
Okay. And what's the fine? What's the fine for that?
I have no idea because I've always voted. I truly don't know.
That's funny. Is 18 the voting age?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, the more you know. All right, one dingo for a doggo. There we go. There we go. So I wonder how much Ben's new dishwasher costs.
It didn't cost me anything because I'm
Oh yeah,
renting.
that's
So
right. That's
as
right.
far as I'm concerned, it was free. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I had to get a new dishwasher recently. It was $900 or 1,000, something like that. So yeah, it was that's definitely a perk of renting. You don't have to take
Yeah.
care of it. So that's awesome. All right. So let's get to the topic at hand here. 12 rounds, the best player and the worst players to draft from each round, and you'll get to tell me how wrong I am or how right I am. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. So let me pull up the screen here for the ADP. So we're going to go according to DraftKings, which I think this is the best thing to use right now because a lot of like home leagues are not drafting. So you can't really look at like ESPN or anything like that. There's people messing around, I think, and this involves real money. So it's not like, I mean, occasionally you get the Joker who drafts Blake Bell in the second round, but here, people for the most part are going to be honest with their picks. So, all right, let's start. So assuming 12 rounds, obviously, so 1 to 12, first round. My favorite player, and I'm not like, I didn't want to put the top four guys because you don't always get the top four picks. So I wanted to put a player that you can get most of the time. So that's the only caveat I have here in the first round. So my favorite player is Malik Neighbors. My least favorite player is Christian McCaffrey. Now, Neighbors, I love Neighbors. I talked about him a lot. Like I think that he could be the receiver one next year. Yeah, he gets all the targets. There's no competition for targets. He's going to have better quarterbacking this year, and he's an awesome talent. I love Neighbors. I love getting him in the middle of the first round. And then as for McCaffrey, he has an amazing upside, but the floor is so low. He hasn't finished the season in 3 of the last 5 years. He's approaching 30. He's got a very long injury history. I would be terrified if I draft McCaffrey in the first round. Now, second round, I could maybe live with it, but first round, I'm like, man, my team could just be done by week 4 if he's out. So, what do you think? And who would you say if you disagree? Who would you say otherwise?
I agree with Neighbours. Neighbours would be one of my two, and my other favorite is Christian McCaffrey, who you may have heard of recently. Look, my goal is to win my league. He's possibly going to get injured, but he's an NFL running back. Of course, there's always the possibility of him getting injured. His workload is going to be absolutely enormous. If he stays healthy for the whole season, he's a really high chance of being the first overall running back. In fact, he could be the top scoring player in fantasy. It's just logistically the way it's likely to go because of how they use him. They don't really have the wide receiver strength they've had in the past. George Kittle can't stay healthy half the time either. They might just need to lean on McCaffrey, and when they do, they barely give their other running backs a touch. Unlike someone like a Jahmyr Gibbs, where you're going to see a whole heap of Dave Montgomery, and it's going to kill you all year. With McCaffrey, you know you're going to get touches. For me, the player that I would try to avoid least and the player that I would want least, especially at the cost based on this ADP, is Jahmyr Gibbs. The O-line looks rubbish compared to last year. You don't know what his workload's going to be. If David Montgomery stays healthy, there is no way that Gibbs is going to pay off. He is not going to win you your league in that slot. I would so much rather one of the wide receivers or McCaffrey if I was picking there.
I like the rubbish comment on Gibbs. You're right. That offensive line is looking disastrous. New coordinator and everything. I'm way down on the Lions. I think maybe Gibbs is probably the better choice now that I think about it. Like I have drafted McCaffrey like 4% of the time just because I do recognize the upside. I just feel like the old quote I live by is that you can't win your league in the first few rounds, but you can lose it. And it seems like McCaffrey's just like an easy way to lose it just because he can get injured so often. But you're right though, like he has amazing upside, and if he happens to stay healthy, I obviously you can definitely win your league that way. But I really do think it's more about like where you draft the later players or who you draft in the later rounds and the mid rounds. Because like if you think about it, like yeah, McCaffrey could be the overall number one player, but like someone else like a Barkley or Jefferson or Chase or Neighbors or Nakua even, like they'll help you a lot too if they don't get hurt. Like they may not help you as much, but it feels like they're close to enough to McCaffrey where it just doesn't, for me, it doesn't make too much of a difference. But then again, if McCaffrey has one of those seasons, then maybe I'm going to be wrong about it. So I don't know. It's a tough situation. I don't know what I do if if like Neighbors off the board. It's like late in the first round and McCaffrey's there. In my longtime league I've been in since 2003. I don't know if I take him. I'd have to think about it. It's a 3 receiver league too, so that that's the strike against him. So, all right, let's get to round two, which is 13 through 24. My favorite player in this round is AJ Brown. My least favorite or the worst pick in this round, I think, is Trey McBride, who's very there, is at the very end there at 212. AJ Brown, I think, is someone who could arguably go late in the first round. That's where he was going last year. Feels like nothing has changed, and he should still have a great year. He's still in his 20s. There's no reason for there to be any regression. And he's just a phenomenal talent, and someone like him should not be going mid to late round two. As you can see, he's 207, 19 overall. And then Trey McBride, this feels like he shouldn't be in the same round as Brock Bowers. He's going 7 picks later than Bowers. He's a freak athlete, and he can catch a lot of passes. So in PPR, he's helped by that, but he just doesn't catch touchdowns. And I don't trust Kyler Murray. Not only to stay healthy, but to in terms of like finding or not being able to find McBride in the end zone. So that worries me. So who do you like and hate in round two?
For me, outside Henry and Thomas, who were just clearly a step above everyone else, but going to be gone after 14 picks, I like AJ Brown as well. I feel like there's a little bit more upside there is with most, but I also think Jonathan Taylor's a pretty solid pick there. The workload's going to be very high. I think they're going to need to run the ball a lot because they can't trust Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones to carry the load for that offense. They're going to need to rely on Taylor. So he's pretty good value for me there. I also agree that McBride is probably the worst pick there, but very close to him. I feel like this is way too early for Rashee Rice. I don't understand the drafting of Rashee Rice in the second round. This has been happening consistently this offseason. I don't understand what people are seeing. It's like they still think it's 2 years ago when they didn't have Xavier Worthy, when they didn't have Hollywood Brown. I understand Travis Kelce is fading, but they're going to rely on the run game. Patrick Mahomes isn't passing the ball as much, and he doesn't need to because the defense is so good. The odds of Rashee Rice paying off here is low, and the upside is that maybe he ends up being a wide receiver too league-wise. He might be a top 10 wide receiver, but the odds of that happening is low, and the floor is extraordinarily low, and you can reach that floor without an injury, without anything bad happening. I don't see it with Rashee Rice. If I end up with Rashee Rice in one of my teams, something's gone very, very wrong.
It's funny you say that. We did a show on Saturday, and I drafted Rashee Rice late in the second round, I think. No, it actually may have been early third, now that I think about it. I don't know. I did take him like relatively early. I like him more than you do. I think that I'm not really concerned about the other weapons. I think that Rashee Rice, I think, is super talented. He's just like a target hog. Travis Kelce really does nothing when Rice is on the field. And Worthy, it feels like he's just kind of like a deep threat sort of guy. And I'm not really concerned about the injury because it was a PCL instead of an ACL or something or whatever. So, I guess I'm higher on Rice than you are, but I've not drafted Rice that often either. I've drafted him like 5% of the time or something. So, I like other options in the second round, but like it feels like Rice's can be there. And I guess I just wanted a little bit of exposure to him. I actually wanted to see exactly how often I've drafted him. 8% of the time. So like not too much. If you compare that to AJ Brown, I've drafted AJ Brown 29% of the time. So I prefer him much more than Rashee Rice. So. Yeah, Mr. Magic asking who are the best, worst players from rounds 1 to 5. So once we get through round 5, I think we can definitely answer that. So we can do like a brief recap for the best and worst for 1 through 5. All right, so round 3, so 25 through 36. My favorite player in round 3 is Chase Brown. My least favorite player in round 3 is Tyreek Hill. I've talked about Tyreek Hill a lot. Get to him first. There's so many, feels like so many landmines with Tyreek Hill. Like he's 31, so he's in his 30s now. It feels like he's lost a step. Maybe that's not going to be the case for this year, but last year it seemed like he lost a step. The offensive line's in shambles, and they lost Terron Armstead this offseason, so it's going to be worse on the edge. Tua could always get injured. Like he's a concussion waiting to happen. If he gets one concussion, he might be out for the year. And then I don't trust Mike McDaniel if Tua gets hurt. I don't trust him to design plays for Hill. And Hill could be in jail too. So there's all these things wrong with Tyreek Hill. I get the upside, and I understand if you want to high roll it. I just think that like you're more likely than not going to get it. And I think that if you think of the upside with Hill, you might be thinking of like 2 years ago. Kind of like what you said with Rashee Rice. Like Hill at 29 is much different now than Hill at 31. As for Chase Brown, he's such an explosive running back. The Cincinnati offense is going to have to engage in so many shootouts because the defense is so bad. And Chase Brown is always going to be on the field because he catches passes. And really, there's no competition there. Zach Moss is injured, and then they have a rookie otherwise. So it feels like just Chase Brown's going to get all the touches there. So who do you like and hate in round 3?
I totally agree with Tyreek Hill. He's the player I like least there. I don't hate him quite that much. I just think he's going around a bit round too early. The upside's clearly there, but I wouldn't be interested until the 4th round. For me, Jackson Smith-Njigba stands out here. I would take him around earlier than this. He was the wide receiver 7 last year. Sorry, the wide receiver 8 last year. And that was with DK Metcalf still in town. Metcalf's gone. He's been replaced by Cooper Kupp, who is not going to do anything. Cooper Kupp looked awful last year. And they've had a quarterback upgrade because I would much rather Sam Darnold over Geno Smith. Everything suggests that JSN should have a fantastic season again this season. I think his floor is very, very, very high. He's such a safe pick in this range. He's going to get a massive amount of targets, and they're going to need him to be good. So I would happily take him anywhere in this 3rd round, honestly.
Mr. Magic saying Breece Hall is your least favorite from round 3. What do you think about Breece Hall? I did draft him recently because no one was available. I just kind of got stuck with him, sort of. Any thoughts on Hall for the season?
I think this is a bit too early for him. For me personally, there is a lot of signs to indicate we're going to see a lot more Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. I do think that Justin Fields will open up some running lanes for him, but he's really gotten by on receiving volume recently, and he's not going to get that with Fields. So yeah. I agree that Hall is going too early. I'll have very, very few shares of him, but I also don't think he's going to be a total bust. I think he's still clearly the lead runner, and he has upside. We're talking about a guy who was a top 5 running back quite recently, so there's no reason to think that he doesn't have that potential if everything goes right for him.
Yeah, on one hand, I kind of want to like him because he was drafted at like 102 or 103 last year. So this feels like value, but on the other hand, it feels like false value where it just I think you're right. It's like slightly too early here. Like late round 4 seems more correct for Hall. I love JSN as well. I like that pick. In fact, I was like, if it wasn't Chase Brown, I think it would have been JSN for me. I heard just a known YouTuber say that he hates JSN this year because JSN is going to play more outside than in the slot. Does that worry you at all? It doesn't worry me, but does that worry you at all?
I don't even know if that's true. But even if it is, he's still clearly their number 1 guy. We've seen Sam Darnold be able to support a wide receiver who's going to play across the slot and out wide with Justin Jefferson. There's no reason he can't do the same thing with JSN and use him in exactly the same way across the formation.
Yeah, I thought that was such an asinine argument, and I was like, wow, it's like the first negative thing I heard about JSN all year. I'm like, I don't really care where he plays. So I don't think he's going to be stuck outside. I think they'll probably move him around a little bit, but we'll see. All right, so 4th round, which is 37 through 48 here. My favorite player in round 4 is Jayden Daniels. It could be one of the quarterbacks. I hate round 4. I should preface this. I hate the running backs in round 4. I hate the receivers in round 4. So automatically, it has to be one of the quarterbacks and tight ends. And if all the quarterbacks, Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and George Kittle, if they're all available, I'm taking Jayden Daniels over the other 3. My least favorite pick from round 4 is Tataroa McMillan. He's been quoted as saying he hates football. He's going to be playing with Bryce Young. I know Bryce Young had some good performances late in the year, but I think that was a mirage. Like the other teams weren't trying hard against the Panthers in those games, and I think the teams that were trying hard, like Dallas and Tampa, the second time, they kind of like dismantled Bryce Young. So I'm not a believer in the Panthers offense, although I do like the running game. I'm just not a believer in the passing game. Plus, like McMillan didn't feel like he should have been a top 10 pick. We had you on a couple weeks ago when you were talking about rookie hit rates, and rookie receivers going early tend to pan out pretty well, but I don't think McMillan's like a true top 10 receiver. Like he was just taken there because David Tepper kind of meddled and wanted Bryce Young to succeed. So who do you like and hate in round 4?
Look, I agree on McMillan, but my least favorite here is probably Xavier Worthy. He was basically getting a full snap count last season. He was averaging 3.5 receptions a game. I don't really see that changing now that Rashee Rice is back, and I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be more involved this season as well. So Worthy is my least favorite there, but this round is awful. Jamison Williams is going way too early. I don't understand why Amari and Hampton's in there. They're going to use a lot of Najee Harris early on. You're not going to get enough out of Hampton for that spot to pay off. I agree that I love basically all the quarterbacks here, but Jaden Daniels is definitely the best value. The other guy I'll shout out here is Cortland Sutton. I think getting Sutton behind all of those other wide receivers is incredible value. There's a very good chance he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver again this season. Their run game's not going to be good again this year. They're going to try to make it good, but ultimately it is going to have to be Sutton that's their number one weapon, and they are going to move the ball, and they're going to move it a lot. So I think that Sutton's going to be good this season, especially at that value.
Yeah, I like Sutton. Just it feels like sticker shock in round 4 because I kept getting him in round 5 so often about a month ago. But now he's going round 4, and I guess rightfully so, just because these other round 4 options are terrible. I'm glad you agree with me. Same thing with Metcalf. Metcalf was going around 5. This is before Rodgers signed. I was like, oh, I'll take Metcalf round 5, and now he's round 4. And we kind of knew that Rodgers was gonna be there anyway. So like, what's the change? Like, why the change? So I've stopped drafting Metcalf in round 4. I don't hate it. I just like I'm not in love with it either. I agree with Jameson Williams. And I'm embarrassed to say that I drafted Jameson Williams in the 4th round during our live stream on Saturday because I plan on taking one of the tight ends or the quarterbacks. And they all went boom, 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 boom. They all went like right before me, and I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? And I was like distracted with like talking about the gambling stuff, the gambling law that was just passed, and I was like, oh my god, what do I do? I just like clicked on Jameson Williams at the last second. So that was the first time I drafted him this whole summer. So yeah, JMO and Worthy not liking that early. Yeah, no, I don't like anyone this early. Favorite Kamara at least is Mixon. Do you think CJ Stroud will bounce back this year? I don't know. I think I want to say like yeah. However, I don't trust the offensive line. Tunsil's gone, and also, the way he reacted to Tank Dell getting injured, that devastating injury, like he went into like a 2-week swoon. And I guess it was like really 5 days because it was one of those weird scheduling quirks that they had late in the year. But CJ Stroud just felt like he was just done mentally for those 5 days. And I don't know if he's going to react like that. Like, I don't know if I trust him fully. And he had that regression last year. I know all that wasn't his fault, but I don't know. I think there's a good chance that he does rebound, but I wouldn't not like locking it in or anything. What do you think about Stroud for this year?
I expect him to be somewhere between year 1 CJ Stroud and year 2 CJ Stroud. I think that's his true average. I feel like he was getting more love than he deserved after his rookie season, and last season he was playing well below his standard. I obviously view things through a fantasy perspective a lot of the time, and he's just someone I'm never interested in fantasy. There's just no upside there, and I kind of feel that same way as an NFL quarterback as well. He's just kind of like a solid producer that's going to make things okay for his receivers, but even though they've given him better receivers, that lack of O-line is still a massive concern.
He was going so early last year too, in fantasy drafts. I think was it like round 6 or something, around 5, 6, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. So definitely not going that early this year. Okay, so round 5, which is 49 to 60. As we scroll down here, my favorite from round 5 is Calvin Ridley, and my least favorite is Jalen Waddle. The more I think about it, the more I like Ridley, and I didn't feel this way like a month and a half ago, but I just like more and more. I'm like, I think this guy's gonna have a massive year, and I think people kind of forgot how good he is. He was going like round 2, round 3 a couple years ago when he had like Matt Ryan throwing to him, and then he had the whole gambling thing. He had to step away from football, and then last year he had Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. He had the most unrealized air yards in the NFL last year. It's just like his terrible quarterbacks are trying to throw the ball to him downfield, and like the passes were so bad they couldn't get caught. I think that's going to change with Cam Ward. Like Cam Ward's been in practice at like 5 a.m. every day. It feels like they're in a groove together, and rookie quarterbacks love locking into the number 1 receiver, and this is really the only viable receiver they have. Like it feels like Ridley is going to get so many targets this year, and the passes are going to be complete more often. So I really think he's going to have a big year. Like he's going like late round 5 usually, and sometimes early round 6. Like I'm just taking him there. And my least favorite player, Jalen Waddle, to quote Butters, who comes on sometimes. He's a pyramid scheme. He has a couple good games here and there, and people just buy into him, and then he just disappoints. And really, this is kind of the same reason as Tyreek Hill. It just feels like the whole Miami offense is going to be terrible this year. I don't want any part of Miami's offense. I don't mind Devon Achane. Just kind of like the same reason you said McCaffrey. Like he has immense upside. His floor is very low as well. And also Jalen Wright in like round 14-ish, just high upside running back. But other than that, I'm not really taking anyone from Miami. So who do you like and hate in round 5?
I totally agree on Jalen Waddle. I generally avoid wide receiver 2 from teams unless that team has just a massive amount of passing volume. I don't expect the Dolphins to have a massive amount of passing volume. I don't expect the Eagles to have a massive amount of passing volume. Don't expect the Cowboys to have a massive amount of passing volume. And yet their 3 wide receiver 2s are going in the 5th round. Unless there's an injury to the wide receiver 1 on any of those teams, or we suddenly get a massive bump in how much passing they're doing, they are all going to bust. It's a real risk taking players, no matter how good they are, if they're going that early and they're not even the top receiver on their own team. My favorite player in this range is James Conner. He is just an extremely good runner. They are going to lean on him. He is the number 1 guy on their team, and you're getting him a good round and a half behind where you should, because realistically, he's in a better situation than someone like a Breece Hall, someone like an Amari and Hampton, who you're having to take a round or 2 earlier. I just love the value on Conner. Also really like Travis Hunter here. The slot receiver for Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence has been very, very good for fantasy on a number of occasions. And Hunter should step in and get a much higher route run than what we were seeing from Christian Kirk in the past. And I feel like that's really going to help him for fantasy. More risk there, though, for Conner. Conner's still definitely my favorite.
I've seen Hunter fall to round 6 here and there, so it feels like his ADP has dropped. He was going like round 4 a couple of months ago. So yeah, he's definitely fallen. So I didn't like him around 4, but late round 5, round 6 is definitely much better for Hunter. You mentioned the number 2 receivers from those teams, Pickens, Smith, and it was a Waddle. So as far as like round 5 is concerned, it's too early. Where would you take these guys? What round?
I have them in like round 8. Like
Okay.
I'm way lower on them. I do realize that I said that, and then I named a wide receiver 2 as my favorite player in this round in Hunter, but I feel like Hunter's in a slightly different situation where they just don't have a wide receiver 3 where they can't run the ball. He really is the only other weapon, and I actually think you'll get quite a lot of passing out of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, the Jaguars aren't running the ball very well, so you're right. They're going to have to throw a lot, and really they have to justify that number 2 overall pick with Hunter. So we've reached round 5, so we can answer Mr. Magic's question. Who are your favorite player and least favorite player from rounds 1 through 5? I looked at my exposure in best ball, and it's AJ Brown, who's my highest drafted player of the players we discussed, and then Chase Brown is a little bit lower. So I'll go AJ Brown, Chase Brown is the top 2 in rounds 1 through 5, and my least favorite player in these 5 rounds, I think would be. Man, it'd probably be Tedero McMillan. I like at least like with Hill, there is upside. With Trey McBride, there's certainly upside. Like what if the touchdowns just spike randomly this year? Could happen. I don't think it will, but it could happen. McCaffrey, obviously, we talked about it. Waddle, like there's less upside than Hill, but there's still upside. Like if Hill like goes to jail, well, Waddle's suddenly the number 1, so that's looking pretty good. Plus Hill's 31, he can get hurt. McMillan, I just don't know what the upside is here. Like the number 1 in Carolina's offense, which is going to run the ball a lot. They built their offensive line to run the ball. Hubbard's going to get a lot of work. They may try to justify the top 10 pick on McMillan, but I think that it wasn't the decision of the coaches or the GM. It was the decision of the owner. So I don't know. There's some conflict there, and I really don't think McMillan's good enough to go round 4. So those would be my answers. What are your thoughts on best and worst in the first 5 rounds?
I think my least favorite is actually Xavier Worthy. He was the wide receiver 30 last season, and now they have Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown there. What's the path for him to be paying off on a 4th round valuation? It's truly insane to me. I don't understand why Worthy would be going so early. And I've got him lower, and I've also got Rashee Rice lower. I've just got all of the Chiefs wide receivers lower. We haven't seen Chiefs wide receivers really pay off since Tyreek Hill years ago. I just and that one fluke Rashee Rice season where they had nobody else. I don't see this happening and working out for him at all. So Worthy's my least favorite. I think my favorite's probably James Conner based on valuation. I do like Kamara there. I do like Sutton in those ranges as well. I do think they're real bargains, but Connor is going at least a round and a half later than I think he should be. And you can often get him in the sixth round. So I reckon every single season I end up with James Conner in like 50% of my teams, and it's always paid off. And I see no reason to think that's not going to happen again this year because they are going to use him a lot until he gets injured. That's the only risk with James Conner. So assuming he stays healthy, James Conner is going to pay off in that range.
I have regret from not playing James Conner in the one DFS lineup. I'm not sure. I'm sure I told you where I chose Zamir White over James Conner, and instead of finishing first, I finished like eighth in a DraftKings tournament, and it was a difference of let's say $49,000. So very very painful. Who scores more fantasy points by the end of the year, Nico, London, or AJ Brown? I think it's very close between Nico and AJ Brown. I'd say Nico, AJ Brown, then London in that order. But I think London's clear number 3, and then very close to Nico and AJ Brown. What do you think?
Totally agree. I think Nico, then AJ Brown, then London, but it could go in any order. I have them ranked back to back, and I can see a heap of situations where the order's the other way around. I just think on the odds are that Nico's the one scoring the most points, followed by Brown, but if the Eagles just increase their pass volume even slightly, then Brown's going to massively pay off at that valuation.
Yeah. How high are we in Rice? Yeah, we talked about Rashee Rice. Ben doesn't like him. I like him more, but I'm not drafting him that often because I think he's going like a little too early. But if he's going like round 3, like right after JSN, I think I'd like him. I would draft him a lot there, but not so much round 2. Okay, so now we get to round 6, which is 61 through 72. My favorite players in round 6. My favorite player is Rome Odunze. My least favorite player is Chris Godwin. Rome Odunze, super talented guy. Charlie Campbell spoke to. I mean, he speaks to a lot of NFL sources, and some of them had Odunze very close to Harrison and Neighbors. And I think the potential there is through the roof. I think he could be the number 1 receiver for the Bears. You have Ben Johnson strengthening the offense. You have a better offensive line. Caleb Williams with more experience. Just feels like there's a lot more upside with Odunze, and also Keenan Allen's gone. I know they brought in Loveland and Burden, but both of them have been injured so far this training this mini camp at least. So I think Odunze could establish himself as the number 1 receiver. And I think Chris Godwin might be the worst pick in the draft. I don't think that he's going to play that much. Can he get like serious vibes from Christian McCaffrey last year? Like they're already saying Godwin's iffy to play week 1. Like they're not sure he's going to play at the start of the season. It's only early July. Like they're like they're not sure if he's going to play, and it's early July. Like when is this guy going to play exactly? I think there's a reason they took Ibuka in the first round. I think that Godwin. I think there's some serious medical stuff wrong with him, and I think that by the end of the year, if he plays like 6 games, I think that wouldn't surprise me at all. So and plus it's a very crowded receiving core too. So who's your favorite and least favorite in round 6?
I disagree on Chris Godwin. I don't like this range, but I at least see the upside. Chris Godwin shown, sup Cassandra, good to see ya. I think that Chris Godwin has the upside to be a top 5 wide receiver, a league-wide top 5 wide receiver. We've seen him do that on a per-game basis. Even last year, he was extraordinary when he was on the field. I think on a per-game basis last year, he was the wide receiver 4. Like, that's what the upside is with Chris Godwin. No one else in this range has even close to that upside. What's the upside with Deebo Samuel? Like, let's say that there's a Terry McLaurin injury, which is the best case scenario for Deebo. He maybe finishes as a top 20 wide receiver, assuming that McLaurin goes down, and that probably won't happen. Like, for me, Deebo's going way too early here. I think Juwan Jennings is going way too early. I don't really like most of the players in this range. I just don't see the upside. The only guy I really like here is DeAndre Swift. I could see a situation where the Bears offense, just in general, is a whole lot better. They've improved the O-line massively. I could see Caleb Williams getting a jump. They've got all the weapons that they need. That means they're going to have to be able to run the ball effectively as well. And it's just DeAndre Swift. I don't see Roshan Johnson coming in and getting a heap of touches. I don't see Coleman Ungai getting in and taking away touches from Swift either. He is the clear number one back. And if he gets the volume that most number one backs get, he's going to pay off massively in this range.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Swift. I drafted him 25% of the time, so I'm right there with you. I drafted Debo 2% of the time, and I drafted Godwin 0%. So I'm slightly higher on Debo than Godwin. I don't like either. Would you draft Garrett Wilson over JSN or Rice? Not JSN. I think I would. For me, the order of preference would be JSN, Rice, and then Wilson. But I'm guessing, Ben, that you would go JSN, Wilson, Rice.
Yeah, JSN, someone I forgot to mention in my favorite players from rounds 1 to 5. He might be my favorite because he's going a good round and a bit later than he should be. I think he's pretty much locked in as a top 10 wide receiver. I would take Wilson over Rice, but it's close because Wilson has Justin Fields, and it's really hard to trust anyone who has Justin Fields as their quarterback. There's not really any target competition there with Devontae Adams gone, and yet Justin Fields is probably going to lose them 1,000 yards of passing compared to what they were getting last year. So that really hurts Wilson. But as I said, I hate Rice. Rice is going rounds too early than he should be. He's not even a top 20 wide receiver for me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Wilson this year so much because, like you said, Fields is there. And Jason, I got him. I published one video where I got him at like 405. I couldn't believe it. I forget who it took. No, Bucky Irving fell to me in the third round, like 308. I was so shocked. So I was like, okay. I was like, I like a lot of other options here, like JSN's still here. So I took Irving. The JSN fell to 405. I'm like, what is happening? It's like drafting with like alcoholics here. It's just ridiculous. I felt like there's so many bad picks in that range. So in that draft, I should say. Do you like Henderson's upside this year? I mean, the Patriots going to run a lot, right? So I do like Henderson, but I think he's going a little too early. That's my only gripe there. Like he's going round 6. I think if he's going like round 7 or 8, I'd have more of him. But I haven't drafted Henderson very much. I've drafted Henderson 2% of the time, so very very little. What do you think about Henderson?
I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities because they can use him on all 3 downs, but I don't think Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson are going to totally disappear. I feel like they're going to get enough touches to be inconvenient for Henderson, but my main concern with Henderson is this offense just isn't going to be very good this year. They're going to be behind in games a lot of the time. I think there's going to be a lot of situations where they want to use Henderson and they just plain can't use him, and it's not like Drake May's a real check down quarterback, so he's not going to get a massive amount of passing volume either. I feel like he's a true low end running back too, and I feel like he's probably going in about the right range.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So we go to round 7 now, which is 73 to 84. My favorite pick in round 7 is Caleb Johnson. The worst pick in round 7 is Cooper Kupp. You mentioned Cooper Kupp briefly earlier when you talk about JSN, and I agree. Like he's not going to do anything this year. Feels like a shell of his former self, and I think people just kind of have a member berries about Cooper Kupp. You know, just I remember Cooper Kupp. Remember Cooper Kupp with the Rams? I remember Cooper Kupp, but like he's done now. Like he was barely playing last year. He barely played in the playoff game, even when the game was in doubt. Like he wasn't on the field, and he just looked decrepit. And now for the first time in his career, no Sean McVay to coach him, no Stafford or Goff to throw to him. Just a worse situation. They're going to run the ball more. He has to compete with JSN for targets now. So it just feels like a bad situation for Kupp. And then Caleb Johnson, I think, could just really run away with the job. They never gave Jalen Warren a chance or much of a chance to unseat Najee Harris. And so, like, it's not like Najee Harris is that great. So, like, I think Caleb Johnson has a great chance to win the job, and he was just so talented coming out of Iowa. I was so shocked that he fell to round 3. I think like he should have gone round 2, and it was really Pittsburgh's second pick because they didn't have a second round pick. So and Mike Tomlin was talking about how he thinks Caleb Johnson could handle a full workload. Pittsburgh's offensive line run blocks a lot better than pass protects. So it feels like Caleb Johnson has a lot of upside round 7. So what's your favorite and least favorite here?
My least favorite is probably Khalil Shakir. I don't really understand where the upside is. Last year, on a per game basis, he was the wide receiver 42. The wide receiver 42. Has anything happened to suggest that he's suddenly going to become like a wide receiver two, even league wise? Because that's really what you'd need him to be to pay off at this valuation. I don't understand it at all. That the kind of players that scored the same amount of points as him on a per game basis last year were Josh Downs, fantastic, Alec Pierce, Nick Westbrook-Akine. That's the sort of players we're talking about when we talk about Khalil Shakir. And you're taking him in the 7th round. What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. It's absolute nonsense. Like, it literally makes no sense. Don't get me wrong. I don't like a lot of the players in this range, but I at least understand why you would take them, because they've at least finished in the top 30 at some stage of their careers. Khalil Shakir is going to bust in this range. It will definitely happen. As for guys I like, I think Jordan Addison has a heap of upside. If Justin Jefferson goes down, all of a sudden Jordan Addison's a top 10 wide receiver. And even if he doesn't, you know they're going to move the ball a lot. And I feel like Addison is one of my favorite wide receiver twos. Having said that, my true favorite in this range is Aaron Jones. I feel like the Vikings are just going to play and be very good this year. And I want all the pieces of their offense. And I feel like Jones is someone that's going to get a lot of checkdowns. He's going to get a lot of running volume. I'm not worried about Jordan Mason at all. I feel like it is going to be Aaron Jones. And I feel like this is very cheap for him.
The one guy in the video who hates JSN, Jordan Mason is his favorite sleeper. So I thought that was funny. I love Aaron Jones around 7. It feels like he's going way too late. I think yeah, I could have gone either way with Caleb Johnson or Aaron Jones. And I think I would have gone with Jordan Addison, but there's a chance he might be suspended because what was a DUI or something. I can't remember. He's something in court. So we'll see. And I think that's why he fell, because he was going around 6 about a month ago. So you're getting a discount here, but we'll see what the suspension is, or if there even is a suspension. We don't know. Like, what if he's found innocent? So we'll see. Mr. Magic saying Henderson, Harvey, Judkins, rank them in redraft. They're all pretty close. Actually, I think Harvey would be 3rd for me. I'm not a fan of Harvey. I think that for me, it would be Henderson than Judkins. And I say that I like Judkins more as a pure runner, but Henderson does more on passing downs. I think Judkins has an easier path to starting, but Cleveland is not a good offense, and I don't like drafting players from good offenses. But I'm just not on board with Harvey at all. So for me, it would be Henderson, Judkins, Harvey. What do you think?
I really struggle with this. I currently have Harvey highest, and I don't like it at all. I don't feel good about it. I feel like there is the potential there that he could be close to an every down player. I know they brought in Dobbins, but I still feel like we could see a whole lot of RJ Harvey. I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's going to be very efficient, but I feel like being the Broncos running back could have a fair bit of value, because I think that offense could be sneakily very good this year. Henderson, on the other hand, we talked about it. I just don't think he has the upside, but Judkins has the least upside of everyone. Even if he plays that Nick Chubb role, and I feel like he could, the Browns are going to suck this year. And it's not like he's going to be separating significantly from Jerome Ford. He'll still get plenty of change of pace touches. And I feel like you probably don't see Judkins out there on 3rd downs or 2-minute drills either. So that really limits his upside. Well, you'd need him to play every down with the Browns to actually pay off. And I think the odds of that happening is very low. Do you think Judkins could be a 3-down player for them?
I don't think so. I think Sampson will be the 3rd down back, or maybe someone else, but I don't think it'll be Judkins. And like, if you think about the Chubb role, you might be like, oh yeah, you can play this Chubb role, but like some of the Browns teams that they have with Chubb were actually pretty good. Like, they made the playoffs. This is not a good team at all. Although I do think they'll win week 1, and I think that might give people the wrong impression about them, kind of like the Patriots winning last year in week 1 over the same team, the Bengals. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe that's someone, like, if you get Judkins and he has a huge game against the terrible Bengals in week 1, you could probably sell high on him. That's what I certainly would do that. And I suspect that once we do like week 2 best ball drafts, week 2 onward, if Judkins has this big game, he's going to go like round 2 or round 3. Like, there's no question about it. And like, that's going to be complete avoid for me. And if it's not, if I'm foolish enough to draft him, please in the comments, please tell me how stupid I am. Don't let me do it. All right. So we're going to get to round 8, which is 85 to 96. So my favorite player in this range is Emeka Egbuka. My least favorite player in this range is Darnell Mooney. So Emeka Egbuka, I think, could be a league winner this year. He's so much talent. Is just a phenomenal prospect coming out of Ohio State, and this kind of is linked to my Chris Godwin disdain from round 6. I just don't think Godwin's going to play that much this year. Like if already iffy to play week 1, I already talked about it. I just think he's going to play that much, and I think Egbuka is going to get on the field a lot. I think he's going to be the receiver too, and who knows? Mike Evans is 32 now. In August, he's going to be 32. He could decline. He could get injured now that he's an older player. That could really open the door for Egbuka. It kind of feels like a crowded room because you have Evans, Godwin, McMillan, but Otten, but like really Evans is older, Godwin's hurt, and McMillan's definitely behind Egbuka. And then like Egbuka could be like the receiver 1 if Evans goes down. And Otten's just an okay tight end. So I really like Egbuka. I'm drafting him pretty confidently in round 8 as just like a high sleeper guy. And Darnell Mooney, he posted good numbers last year with Cousins. I don't think that's really going to necessarily happen with Penix. And Penix is basically a rookie right now. He's started 3 games, but so like start 4 onward. He's basically a rookie. Rookies tend to lock in on receiver 1s and tight ends. And so I just feel like Mooney's targets may go down a little bit. So I think he's going maybe a couple rounds too early. Like round 10, I think I'd be interested. Round 8, I think it's too early. I didn't really hate anyone here in round 8. So I just had to pick Mooney. So who do you like and hate in round 8?
I actually don't mind Darnell Mooney. I don't know that he's my favorite, but he was the wide receiver 8 through 10 weeks last season. So over halfway through the season, he was still the wide receiver 8. I feel like there's upside there at least. I think it's unlikely, but I think there's enough upside that I understand why people are taking him here, especially if you see a Drake London injury. All of a sudden, Mooney becomes the clear number 1 there, and there's not really any target competition outside Bijan Robinson. Having said that, I still definitely wouldn't take him in this range. I think my favorite here is probably Matthew Golden. I do feel like the Packers are screaming out for a clear lead receiver. It was essentially Jaden Reed last season, but he was only playing in 3 wide receiver sets. So he was only out there about 60% of the time. He just got a whole heap of targets and a heap of touchdowns when he was there. That really limits his upside. I feel like if Golden can take over as the clear number 1 guy, then he's got a chance. Will he? Probably not. I feel like it's not the alpha receiver style that the Packers really needed. But I feel like he's got the most chance of paying off in this range. Outside him, I really like TJ Hockenson as well. He's my tight end 4. And I feel like you're getting him rounds later than you needed to. Compare him to a Travis Kelce, who did nothing last year and is unlikely to do anything this year. And you can get Hockenson 2 rounds later, and he could easily be a top 3 tight end this season. That offense is going to be very good. He doesn't have a lot of target competition outside Jefferson and Addison. He will basically be their 3rd receiver, and I feel like he could be very good. My least favorite, Josh Downs. I don't see it. What's the upside with Josh Downs? Like he's got terrible quarterbacks passing him the ball. They're not going to be very effective offensively. Best case scenario, he gets a heap of targets, but I don't even think he's going to get that because Michael Pittman's healthy now. So I hate the situation with Josh Downs.
I almost went with Hawkinson as my favorite player. If it wasn't for Egbuka, I think I would have went with Hawkinson. So we're on the same page there. Okay, so round 9, which is 97 through 108. Honestly, didn't really like too much here. So kind of by default, it's Tyrone Tracy, who you recommended on the show late last summer. So congrats to those who followed your advice there. The worst pick, I think, is Travis Etienne. Really can go with a number of players here, but Etienne is he's in the 3-man committee. He's not that good of a player. I don't trust Jacksonville's run blocking. Just nothing. I really don't like anything here. I was surprised to see him with a round 9 ADP. Feels like if he's going like round 11, I still don't think I'd take him. So 18 definitely the worst. As far as Tracy's concerned, he may lose the goal line stuff to Scatabo, which is it's a downer. But at the same time, he has electric playmaking ability. He can go the distance whenever he touches the ball. Just a lot of explosive plays there for Tracy, who can really win you some weeks just by going off. So I like Tracy, but I can understand if people are down on him because of the Scatabo pick. So who do you like and hate in round 9?
This is a really interesting one. I don't really love anybody, but I also don't truly hate any of these players here, except maybe Jordan Mason. I think Jordan Mason's going too early for a situation where he's essentially a handcuff. he's a pretty high valued handcuff, and he's got an opportunity to win that lead role because Aaron Jones is old, but I think he probably won't. So I don't love Mason. I don't love Warren because he has no upside. But of the players that I do love, I think that Goff and Caleb Williams are both pretty good value here. They're going rounds later than other quarterbacks who really aren't that far off them. Goff's been, on the edge of the top 5 as a quarterback for the last 3 or so years. He's been very good for fantasy. But people don't rate him because he's Jared Goff, and yet realistically that team passes so much. Assuming they do the same thing again here, Goff will pay off again for fantasy. And I think that Caleb Williams, with that improved O-line and with so many passing options, and with DeAndre Swift being a bit of a limitation on the ground, I feel like Williams could be very, very effective through the air. The other guy I'll shout at is Brandon Ayuk. I feel like he is actually the true number 1 receiver if he's healthy. So if he's healthy, then he's ahead of Juwan Jennings. He's ahead of Ricky Pearsall, and yet he's going 3 or 4 rounds later. I understand there's a whole heap of injury risk in there, but when you're taking a player in the hundreds, you can definitely afford to take on a whole lot more injury risk. And I feel like you can just see what happens with him, hang with him on your bench for a couple of weeks, and if that doesn't work, then you can just get rid of him. In a best ball situation, that's obviously a lot worse, which is why I suspect he's lower here. But I'm still willing to take the risk on him because if he comes into the season healthier than we expect, he's going to pay off massively there.
Yeah, the upside is definitely there. It's just the injury is scary. All right, round 10, which is 109 to 120. Not gonna lie, I didn't love a lot here. I could have went with Charbonnet, but I went with JJ McCarthy as the best player, kind of like the same reason you were talking about with Goff. I think he's going later than some other quarterbacks I don't like. And yeah, granted, we haven't seen him play, but he has some rushing upside, and he's playing on a team that got the most out of Sam Darnold last year, got the most out of Joshua Dobbs 2 years ago. It just feels like this coaching staff and receiving core should be able to get McCarthy to be a good producer. My least favorite player is Cam Scatabo. Not quite sure why he's going in the middle of the 10th round. Feels like he should probably be going like round 13, round 14. Like he's not even necessarily the RB2 there. It could be the RB3 behind Tracy and Singletary. I think people just want Scatabo to be good just because they fell in love with him at Arizona State, what he did against Texas in that playoff game. And I think that's why he's going just way too early. If it wasn't for that game, if people didn't see that game on national TV, one of the most watched games all year, he probably would be going round 13, round 14, because then no one would have heard of him. It was just that one game that everyone is going nuts over Scatabo for. So, yeah, I just think that he's going way too early. So who do you like and hate in round 10?
I mean, I with you. I hate Cam Scatterbo. I don't see it at all. The upside, if everything goes right to him, is that he needs a Tyrone Tracy injury and he needs a Devin Singletary injury, and then he's the giant running back. How much do you really want the giant running back? Like, compare him to the other guys going in this range. If you get an injury to Kenneth Walker, which will probably happen, you have the Seahawks running back, and Zach Charbonnet suddenly becomes the top 10 running back. We've seen that happen on a number of occasions. He is the most valuable handcuff running back in the league. So comparing those two guys and the fact they're going in the same range is insane to me. I do like David Njoku in this range. I feel like he's going to get a whole lot of volume. I love JJ McCarthy, as you said. But I feel like I want to shout out Keon Coleman here. If he is the number 1 in the Bills offense, and he probably won't be, but if he is, all of a sudden we're talking about a guy who's a top 20 wide receiver. He has that upside there. I think it probably doesn't happen, but we're talking about a guy who went just outside the first round last year and probably deserved to be a first round wide receiver in the draft last year. He was massively disappointing, but the upside is clearly there, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, from reports, Keon Coleman has put on some muscle and it's looked good, but we'll see if that translates. I think it could. I mean, he certainly has the upside that you said Shakir does not, and it's definitely true. Plus, he's going 3 rounds later, so you're getting a discount there. Mr. Magic asking, could Diggs be the best late round steal of the draft? He's going round 8. I think that's where he was going. I don't know. He said he's coming off the torn ACL. There's reports saying he may not be ready until week 4. So I don't know. It's a run first offense. He's an older player. I don't know. I don't really see it with Diggs. Do you?
I do know. No, he won't.
Okay.
He just definitively won't be. He's going way too early to be a steal for starters. And he's injured. The offense isn't very good. Like, what's the path there? Like, yeah. I think best case scenario, if everything goes right for him, maybe a top 20 wide receiver, but there will definitely be top 20 wide receivers that are drafted later than him.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. All right, so we're going round 11, so picks 121 through 132. My favorite here is Tucker Kraft, so first tight end for me. My least favorite pick is the guy right after him, Marvin Mims. So Tucker Kraft, I think has is kind of like what you were saying with Hawkinson round 8. I think Kraft a few rounds later makes a lot of sense. Also, Njoku, you mentioned him at round 10. I think Tucker Kraft is kind of like the same sort of value. Just feels like he's going to, and I think like Golden there is going to really benefit him. He's going to get like a lot of targets with Golden stretching the field. It should open up stuff for Kraft. Jordan Love even said earlier in the offseason they have to get the ball more to Kraft. So that's can't be a bad thing. As far as Marvin Mims is, he had 2 good performances late in the year, and I think that's why he's going like a couple of rounds too early, maybe like 3, 4, 5 rounds too early here. Like people just remember what he did in the finale, and then also the Bills game in the playoffs. They're like, okay, yeah, Marvin Mims is good now, and I don't know. I don't trust it. It's just 2 games. Like he's suddenly good. I really don't see it. Plus, Sean Payton loves size out of his receivers. I think he wants Pat Bryant to be the receiver too instead of Marvin Mims. So I think Marvin Mims is going to be relegated to special teams, kickoff returns and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not drafting Marvin Mims. So what do you, Cassandra's saying? Can't trust Walt's biased emotional opinion of Marvin Mims, which is true. We used to open up Rainmaker packs every Wednesday, and no joke, I'd pull a Marvin Mims all the time. And I was never even able to benefit from those 2 good games because they canceled Rainmakers. So I guess my worst pick here doesn't count. So who do you hate and like in round 11?
Look, I can taste the salt from your Marvin Mims beef, and I'm not having any part of it. I actually like Marvin Mims. I think the
Okay.
upside's there. I think he could be the wide receiver 2 for the Broncos. And I feel like if there's actually a clear wide receiver 2 for the Broncos, there's some upside there. I wouldn't take him this early, personally. But I at least see the upside. So he's not my least favorite pick here. I have several least favorite picks here, and I hate them for different reasons. Colson Loveland is. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, that's next round. I'll come back to him. Don Kincaid, I don't really understand the upside there. I don't understand what you're doing when you can get a Tucker Kraft in the same range. That's too early for me. CJ Stroud, we talked about, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are the odds of CJ Stroud being useful for fantasy? But the one I hate by far the most is Ramondre Stevenson. We just talked about Travion Henderson being the clear number 1 guy. But let's imagine that they didn't have Travion Henderson. Let's imagine he gets injured on the first snap of the year. I'm not even convinced that Ramondre Stevenson's the number 1 running back for the Patriots. He wasn't last year. Antonio Gibson was getting heaps of targets and heaps of touches. So assuming that there's no Henderson for some reason, I feel like you're probably still drafting Stevenson only a round or 2 earlier than this. I don't understand it at all. Why would you ever want Stevenson on your team at all? Where is the upside? What are the odds of him reaching it? Doesn't make any sense to me. My favorite here, and the only player I particularly like in this range, is Trey Harris. I feel like there's some legitimate upside there. Ladd McConkey is clearly the small slot guy, but we do know that there's some upside with being the true alpha outside receiver in an NFL offense, and I feel like Trey Harris could easily profile as that. For me, Quentin Johnston's looking more and more like a bust, and I feel like Harris could be the number 1 guy. Will it happen? I mean, probably not, but we're talking double-digit rounds now, and I'm willing to take the upside.
Yeah, I like Harris a lot. I drafted him in 13% of leagues, and I guess he should have been my answer because I've drafted Kraft 7% of the time. So I guess I agree with your take there. So yeah, I mean, I think that all these crappy running back ones, quote unquote, like Stevenson and ATN, and we didn't talk about Javonte Williams, but he qualifies. Like, yeah, they're starters, but for how long, and B, even if they're there as starters, like, are they even going to produce? Are they going to pay off at the point in which you took them? Like, probably not, right? And so I just don't really have any interest in these guys, and people are drafting, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can take them. I'll rather take the higher upside guys, and the next round or the round after that. So. Yeah, this is like the area I'm taking the quarterbacks, and unless I take one early. So we're gonna get to the final round. We're gonna discuss. Are you okay to do a best ball draft? I can
Yeah,
load one
absolutely.
up.
Yep.
Okay. So while we do round 12, I will enter this best ball draft. And why is it not letting me? Probably have to log in or something. Let's do this. Try again. Okay, there we go. It worked. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Okay, so round 12, which is picks 133 to 144. And I'll admit I cheated a little bit here because I took a guy in round 13, but this is the last round we're discussing, so you'll have to let me slide. And I assume that you know who I'm
Oh,
talking
I know.
about. Do you want to announce it to the crowd? Uh,
Look, I'm just going to put it out there. Could it be Isaac Garendo?
No, actually, yes, it is. It is Isaac Grandel. He should be going around 12 because I drafted him so many times in around 12. It feels like I'm the one pushing his ADP up. Like if it wasn't for me, it'd probably be like 151 or 152. I just drafted him so often. I don't know if I have to rehash it. Like Grendo, if McCaffrey goes down, look, what you said about McCaffrey earlier is 100% true. Like he could be the fantasy player number one this year. He could win your league if he has one of these insane years. But the downside is definitely there. And if he's not finished 3 of the last 5 years. If he goes down, Garendo is just going to produce round 2, round 3 results. I mean, he's not only big, he's super fast. It feels like he has all the athletic talent in the world. He's going to be in a great situation. Kyle Shanahan, and like his dad, has produced just great running backs, or great running back performances. So Garendo definitely my favorite pick in round 12. Even though he's going around 13, he's better than anyone in round 12 as far as I'm concerned. My least favorite pick is Luther Burden, just because he's injured right now, and I'm not sure why he's still going early. Like it's such a crowded room there. They have DJ Moore and Adunze. They're going to get a ton of targets, and the two tight ends, Loveland, you mentioned him briefly. Cole Kmet's still there. Swift is going to catch passes to the backfield, and then like Burden's going to have to like fit in somewhere. I don't really see it with Burden. If he were healthy right now, maybe I'd feel differently about it. But like even like Ben Johnson, he was even complaining that Burton was practicing. So I don't know. Being that behind just feels like he's not going to do anything in the first year. So what are your thoughts on round 12?
I agree with everything you said. If you're not taking upside handcuff running backs in this range, then you're not playing fantasy correctly.
Yeah.
Isaac Garendo is the type of player that you should love having in your fantasy team because it only takes one thing to happen, and all of a sudden you have a league winner on your hands. Same thing with Ray Davis, who I think is the other player I really like in this range. If you get an injury to James Cook or James Cook holds out again or something like that, all of a sudden Ray Davis is an every down running back. We saw how good he was in that one game where he started last season. He is someone I love having on my team. You basically just want players who only need one injury and all of a sudden they are a league winner. Whereas you get someone like a Bashal Tootin who's going earlier than them. If there's an injury to an ETN or a Bigsby, well, the other guy's just going to take over most of those touches, and Tootin comes in as like I don't know, someone who's barely a top 30 running back. What's the point? Like, you need an injury, and even if you get an injury, you're still not getting a league winner on your hands. Take someone with upside. And there's heaps of upside with those guys. Rashad White also has a heap of upside because if you get an injury to Bigsby, all of a sudden White has proven that he can be a top 10 running back. The other player I had in this range is Colston Loveland. I mean, what are the odds that Loveland's going to have a role that's worth anything in fantasy? There's 3 wide receivers, assuming Burden is healthy, ahead of him. He's still going to lose some touches to Cole Kmet. I mean, what are we doing here? What's the point in picking up Loveland?
Yeah, I don't like him either. I like Burden less because he's hurt, but Loveland's banged up as well, so it could have easily been him. And I think if I didn't cheat and put Garendo here, I think I would agree with you that Ray Davis should be the best pick because for the same reason. I like Tootin earlier in the offseason just because I thought ATN was going to get traded. That's what all the reports are saying, and so if it was just Bigsby and Tootin, like that would look a lot better. But now it doesn't look like ATN is going to be traded unless like this is just kind of messing with everyone's head and stuff. I don't know. I don't know why they're not trading ATN. It feels like maybe the coaching staff doesn't know how bad he is because they haven't coached him yet, but maybe they'll feel differently about it like by October and then they'll trade him. And then Tootin will look better. But right now, I agree with you. You just can't really draft Tootin like very comfortably. So, yeah, those are our favorite and least favorite picks from the first 12 rounds. So we could have gone like a little further, but I feel like in regular leagues, like that's when people are drafting kickers and defenses, unless like you're with stupid league mates who draft kickers and defenses way too early. I did this is two part thing. I did a draft. I think it was like I'll say like 2012 or 2013. Some guy took a kicker in round 7. I was like, okay, sure. And someone the first time I did a fantasy league with Kenny, it was what year was it? 2000. We were sitting in a room. It's a live draft, and by the way, we had the third pick here. We were sitting in a room and doing a draft, and I had the second pick, and this guy like with thick glasses, and he's like reading this fantasy magazine, and he gets the first pick. And this is back when it was just Marshall Falk, and then that was it. Marshall Falk was so great back then. And I was like, oh man, I got the second pick. So this guy, he's like, okay, his good name was I think Evan, and the commissioner's like, all right, Evan, who are you taking? He's like, Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. It's like, what? I was like, I'll take Falk, and okay, well, no,
Okay.
well, this is a real player. This is not like Outlanders like Blake Bell. Who are we taking here, Barkley or Jefferson?
I was so ready to take Justin Jefferson, but I think we're taking Barkley.
I think so. So yeah, Drake London, 102. Like maybe this guy just loves Drake London. CD Lamb goes for Jefferson. Jefferson and Bijan fall to 5 and 6 here. What a weird draft this is to start off. That is unexpected, to say the least.
Why do I bring all the crazies every time I come on? Someone does something truly insane in your drafts.
Yeah, Ben's here. Let's mess up this draft. This is crazy. Well, we'll see. Maybe if he takes normal players, I don't know. Maybe he just loves Drake London and doesn't think he's going to fall to 211, which is true.
I mean, to be fair, he's not getting London at 211,
yeah.
So he might if he wants him, that's where I need to get him.
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, if he's done his research and is like, I think London's going to be the receiver 1 this year. Okay, then it makes sense. I don't agree with his assessment, but that's the logic behind it. At least he didn't take Blake Bell. That's like it's like a real player, so you can argue it. And we'll see what he does with those other picks. Because if he drafts nonsense, then this league might be canceled. But by the way, our other league was not canceled, so that one counted. Anyway,
so go back Speaking of kickers, by the way,
yeah.
I did an analysis last year on what would have happened if you had just taken my kicker streamer every week. Every week, I was doing a kicker article in like 2023, I think, and every week I just put up a kicker who was rostered in less than 10% of leagues.
Yeah,
and I analyzed what would happen if you just used that kicker every week, and you would have had the kicker 2 on the season. So there is no point in drafting a kicker in your league at all. You can just pick one up off waivers every single week.
Yep.
And like we were using guys like Brandon Albury before anyone knew who they were, and like all these other guys who became like highly touted kickers. You can get them off waivers at some point. You just got to know the right matchup.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true, and you can luck into taking the best kicker. Like you said, Aubrey. Like no one knew who he was. If he's someone that you picked up, and you're like, wow, this guy's awesome. Let me just keep him. Like I've done that with defenses too. Just I stream defenses, and then like if I luck into getting a great defense, then I'll just roll with that defense. So yeah, we'll have to see what this other guy does. So anyway, I took that guy took Tampa Bay's defense, and like there's so much commotion, and the commissioner's like, all right, everyone calm down. And he's like, Evan, why'd you take Tampa's defense number 1? And Evan goes, because defenses win championships. Like, and he's like, wait, this is not how that works in fantasy football. You kind of explained it to him, and like. He's like, okay, we'll let you do a redo. You can take Tampa's defense like in round 6 or 7 if you really want them. So Evan, he's like, he looks at me. He's like, I'll take Marshall Falk. I'm like, come on, man. I was so tilted. I don't even remember who I took number 2. I was just so angry. So that was it was one of my favorite stories for fantasy. Actually, I published that one in my first book, which is a safety and a field goal. It's like the top 5 stories of stuff, and it's like the top 5 funniest fantasy football stories, which was that. I feel like nothing else crazy has happened after the London 2 and Lamb 4. And we're up in 2 picks, so we might as well. AJ Brown's still available. Tyreek Hill just went. There's Bowers, Brown, Rice. I know you love Rice here. Jacobs, McBride, Higgins, Chase Brown, Wilson Allen. And we're up on the clock. Who went? Bowers went. We can take AJ Brown.
It's got to be AJ Brown. Absolutely got to be AJ Brown.
Even with Barkley, you're okay with it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, me too. They're all gonna score touchdowns. So I think
But
I'm okay with it.
they have like 3 players, and they're going to use them
That's
a
true.
heap. So
That's
just
true.
take them.
That's
Yeah.
true. I wouldn't mind Hurts at 410.
Yeah.
Okay, Devontae Adams is a real player. It's still a little too early for Adams, but it feels like this guy's taking guys like 1 round too early here. Um, but yeah, Rashi Rice went, which you wouldn't have any interest in anyway. And I'm very curious to see what else happens. Trey McBride goes, which is like your least favorite pick and my least favorite pick in round 2. This guy's BC Colonia. Yeah, not a good draft here. All right, who's this guy gonna go? Carl G. Carl G 70. He took Brees Hall. Okay. So I don't think this league's gonna be canceled. All right, so we're up now. Jacobs, Higgins, Brown, Wilson, Allen, Jackson. There's JSN down here. Who do you like?
I love Jacobs and I love Higgins. I think we've already taken a running back, so Higgins probably makes more sense. But I actually prefer Jacobs of the 2 players.
Okay, so you prefer
And
Higgins?
JSN I like better than Higgins, but I actually like Jacobs best of all.
Okay, let's go Jacobs. I know we took one running back already. Let's go with it's your best player. So let's go Jacobs. I love Jacobs too. That just means we can go receiver. I feel like we can take 3 receivers in the next 5 rounds and be okay. So yeah, Chase Brown goes. We'll see how late JSN falls because, like I said, he's been dropping a little bit, which kind of surprised me. Maybe people are listening to that one guy that I was talking about. That guy does have a huge following. I'll say that. I don't like his content, but it's just like I know like it's weird. I'll listen to guys I know I don't like, but because if they have a huge following, I know that like people will listen to them and like they'll be influenced by them. So just kind of like try to feel like try to hear like who they like and so I kind of know that the ADP might be affected by that just a little bit, I guess. And so where Higgins goes 307, he's been falling a little bit too. Like he was going late round 2 like 2 months ago, and now he's going mid round 3. Anything else like stand out to you here as being weird?
No quarterback so far is interesting.
Yeah. It's weird. Sometimes it happens where all the quarterbacks fall like 6 to 12 picks. And then sometimes in these drafts, there goes Allen, 309. Sometimes the quarterbacks will go all early. Where like they're all gone by mid round 4, which is I don't know. I don't understand the phenomenon there, but I guess if like 12 people is a small sample size for because like 12 people could all think that like quarterbacks a little. I like going quarterbacks later, and then if that happens, or like 11 out of 12 think that, then like the quarterbacks will drop. So I feel like that's what happens here sometimes.
Makes a lot of sense. Not to mention the fact that you just need the right people in the right spots, and all of a sudden they'll fall around a turn, for example.
Yeah, so maybe that'll bode well for Hurst being available at 410. But Lamar Jackson just went at 311. And we'll see what this guy does at the turn. So he took JSN 312 is where he fell.
Value.
Yeah, no, we were going to take him at 303 if there's no Jacobs. So, and you would have taken JSN over Higgins. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would have. I do like him better. Like I know that JSN you can take later, but he was never getting back to us at 410.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Jackson Daniels. What do you think about Boomba's strategy to draft Lamar Jackson 311, Jane Daniels 402?
I think he doesn't understand how this league works and how you win it.
Yeah. Maybe he thinks of the 2 QB league or something. He's like, wow, I got these guys. I got Jackson Daniels.
Like Superflex, yeah.
Yeah. That is bizarre, to say the least. I can understand it if like Daniels falls to 5'11 and you're like, I can't pass on him at 5'11, The 402, it's not even value for him. I get him all the time at like 405, 406.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very strange. I was about to say like, oh, we don't have to worry about Boomba and Powder for me taking quarterbacks because we're rooting for Hurst to come back to us, but apparently I'm wrong. But yeah, here goes Jameson Williams, sketchy pick. It's a lot. You mentioned it. I mentioned it too. Like round 4 just feels like such a wasteland of fantasy value for non quarterbacks and non George Kittle. Um,
Hmm.
all right, we're up. We're up on one pick. Oh, we're up now. So Hurts, are you agree with Hurts?
I mean, is there a chance that either Hurts or Burrow makes it around the turn for us?
There's a chance, sure. You want to
Because
take
we
that
could
risk?
take someone like a Cortland Sutton here, or do you think he's more likely to make it back anyway?
I don't know. You know what? Let's high roll. If not, then so what?
Yeah,
We're trying to win $2 million here.
yeah,
Let's do that and then see what happens because both these guys would have to take quarterbacks.
yeah.
Because we only have to worry about two people. So we got Sutton as a receiver too. I like that. I don't really necessarily think that Sutton would have fallen back to us. So
Mm.
unless BP Colonia takes both quarterbacks, he's not. So all it takes is just one non-quarterback pick here. So all right, we got
Perfect.
one of our guys. That's a great call on your part. BP Colonia took two rookies, Hampton at 412 and McMillan to 501. You guys know I'm not a fan of McMillan there.
That team is
Hampton,
awful.
you don't like the Rice pick at 212.
Truly awful. It's just an awful team. Like every single pick has been a reach except Chase, which you can't really get wrong.
Yeah. All right, Hurts, you agree?
Yeah, I feel like we have to stack here.
Yeah, I like the upside stack for sure. All right, so this first pick by Colonia, except for Chase, like you said, just Rice and McMillan. I like Rice more than you do, but I think I would have taken like Chase Brown or instead
T.
of
Higgins.
him Higgins, JSN. I think they could all argue. You could argue all of them over Rice. And then McBride, as I said, like not a fan of McBride where he's going. It feels like late round 3, early round 4, I can get it. Like where around Kittle goes. Like I don't have Kittle and McBride too far apart. Like they're very close to each other for me. So I think that's too early. Hampton, like he's not going to start for Harbaugh. Harbaugh's the old school coach. Like he's going to play Harris, and Harris never gets hurt too. So it could be pretty brutal for Hampton owners that they take him in round 4, and then McMillan, of course, we talked about him a lot. So that's not a good team at all. I totally agree.
The fact that in this fourth round we've seen Xavier Worthy go and Jamison Williams go and George Pickens go
Yeah.
and then Debo Samuel went early in the fifth. That's horrible. Like look at the other players that these guys could have been getting. Like guys with legitimate upside and they're choosing to take those scrubs. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get like why BP Colonia didn't take Joe Burrow at 501 just to stack with Chase, took McMillan instead. Like I don't know like what the upside is there. Juwan Jennings, this is the first time I've seen him round 5.
That's wild.
He was going round 7 2 months ago, and then he's crept into round 6. Like I was taking him a lot in round 7. Round 6, I not so much, and then round 5. If he's going round 5, I'm not taking him round 5.
It's wild because the best case scenario is he's the number 1 receiver, but he's still behind George Kittle and he's still behind Christian McCaffrey. And
Yeah.
there's a very good chance that Brandon Ayuk will be healthy at some stage. There's a very good chance that Ricky Pearsall takes over and gets more targets than Jennings. I mean, how much passing do we think they're going to do?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that it would have to. I mean, McCaffrey goes down, sure. Then that's when that happens. So for him, best case scenario is the receiver 1 and McCaffrey being hurt and Ayuk just not being 100%. So you need a lot, and it could happen. Like this stuff is definitely all feasible, but once you add like this, things that you need on top of other things like a parlay of some sort. So it doesn't feel like it's like round 5 is just way too early for something like that. Whereas like round 7, I think is fine. Let's see. Why would the league ever be canceled? So it's the integrity of things. So like, for example, what could theoretically happen is let's just say you get like 12 guys together and they decide to collude and like they decide that like they're going to just make 1 or 2 super teams in this league. Let's just say like this first 2 guys, for example, are the super teams. And hold on, well before I get to that, we'll have to decide our pick because we're up in 2 picks. So we're up in 1 pick now. So we have Harvey, Adunze, Swift, Judy, Olave, Mahomes, Myers, Addison, Judkins, Shakira, Jones, Caleb Johnson. So we're up now. Brian Robinson went. So who do you think?
I like Swift and Addison best. I know we already have two running backs, so Addison might make more sense, but Swift does have a heap of upside, so I'd be happy with him as well. I'd also be happy with Aaron Jones as well, but I'm coming around to Swift a lot.
Yeah. I like Swift too. Yeah, he's RB3. That's fine. Like, I don't want to take another running back after this.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with Swift, and then maybe we can get Addison in the next pick.
Mm.
We'll see what happens. Brian Robinson 609 is very early too. Feels like these one teams 1, 2, and 4 just not a fan of what they've done at all.
Mm.
Um, like like London Adams, Flowers, Samuel. Like he reached on London. Flowers is okay, I guess, for best ball. And then Hall's okay. It just feels like every pick here is underwhelming. Bo Nix 6'11, just too early for Bo Nix. And then you have RJ Harvey go. Don't like that either. And then team 4, they drafted Lamb, Bowers, Wilson, Pickens, Henderson, Robinson. Not except for Bowers. I don't like really any pick there. Wilson's okay. Yeah, it feels like those guys went like around too early as well, except for Lamb and Bowers.
And it's great for us because they're on either side of us. Like these guys are taking these quarterbacks way too early when they had such value in the previous rounds. Like imagine they don't take Debo Samuel there, and you take a Hurts or a Burrow. How good is your team going to look suddenly? Oh, good, Addison's here.
Addison's here. Let's go with Addison. So he's our receiver 3. Okay. So anyway, what I was saying before to answer Cassandra's question is that say you get 12 guys together and you decide to make 2 super teams. So let's just say team 1 here and team 2 here. So team 1 takes Chase, team 2 takes Barkley, and then teams 3 through 12, because you're colluding, they all take Blake Bell. They all take garbage players like your in Marquez Valdez Scantlings of the world. You just take them here. So it gets back to 211. And 211, who has already Saquon Barkley, they take Justin Jefferson. And then 101, who already has Jamar Chase, he takes Bijan Robinson. And then so on and so forth. You build these like 2 incredibly impenetrable teams, and obviously I say 2 because 2 advanced to the playoffs out of the pod. So yeah, these 2 teams that are kind of going to be invincible if they get to the playoffs. That's just going to be an unfair advantage to everyone else. Like they have to compete with that. So that DraftKings, I mean, they do a good job of monitoring it. Like usually I'd be like against like canceling leagues, but like you could, if they didn't do that, they could definitely collude. People would absolutely collude. There's $2 million on the line here, so if you could get away with it, like people will do that all the time. So, and as far as like trying to do it sneakily, like that one guy did with the Blake Bell team I was talking about, like I guarantee, like unless he was drunk or something and just was high or was just like fooling around, like I guarantee that he had another team in this draft and was trying to strengthen his team by a little bit, and so try to like fly under the radar to get his team just like a bit of a percentage bump, make his team a little bit better, because that Blake Bell draft, like I felt like our team was so much better than usual. Like we're getting like players in like round 8 who should have been going round 9, etc. like that. Like we were getting like the team felt like 10% better than what it usually is. So that's why they have to cancel these leagues. So it's unfortunate that people would do it, but with so much money on the line, I don't necessarily blame people for doing it, but they don't get away with it, thankfully. So
interesting to see the 2 Vikings running backs going back to back here.
Yeah, this has been a weird draft. I don't know, a lot of strange picks here. Odunze Falls is 7-11. Like that's I feel like he always goes around 6. Like that was early. Pierce Hall 805 is okay. We're up in 1 pick. So I'm Caleb Johnson's available. We already have 3 running backs, so I assume you like Golden, so I'm going to start him. There's Reed, Evans, Ibuka. I love Ibuka, so if he falls back to us, I would like to take him. There's a bunch of other guys here, as you can see on the screen. So who do you like here?
Could take Njoku, though I think he probably makes it back. I think Golden's my favorite there, but I'd be willing to be swayed.
Yeah, let's go Golden. I mean, we need receivers, so we only have 3. I would like 5 after 9 rounds. So hopefully, would you mind Ibuka at 903?
I can see the upside. Given its best ball, yeah, I would. In a redraft league, I think I probably don't, but in a best ball, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah, I would have been down for Higgins as well. If Ibuka gets taken, I wouldn't mind Trey Harris either. then maybe we go Njoku and then get Harris at 10-10.
Hmm.
But yeah, something like that. And it's a shame that that we already have 3 running backs because Caleb Johnson here just seems so tempting in 903. Um, this is a
Yeah,
very
true.
this is a very weird draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of value at running back there because I don't have a lot.
There goes Caleb Johnson. So, um, anyway,
Yeah, I think my next wide receiver is like Keon Coleman or something like
yeah. Yeah, receiver really drops off after a while. I think like usually the last receiver I'll take is like Golden or Buka or something like that. Um, so there goes no cookie Jordan Love. So we can take Ibuka. He's the 3rd best player available, whereas Njoku's like down here, I think. Yeah, he's 113. So let's go Ibuka, and then maybe we can get Njoku at 10-10. So that should be our goal. So we have 5 receivers. We have Brown, Sutton, Addison, Golden, Ibuka. Our quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts. Our running backs look great: Barkley, Jacobs, and Swift. And then we don't have a tight end yet, but we will soon. So I like this draft a lot. I mean, it feels like we've got good value just because of some weird picks. So definitely a fan of that.
Yeah,
Always,
agreed. I think we've had a lot of players fall to us, especially because of the wacky stuff the guys on the turn behind us are.
Yeah.
We're basically just getting two players we could have gotten in the round earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I that's why I love drafting at night. I told you, like this is when the crazies come out, and they're either drunk or high or making stupid picks or they're like fooling around, or sometimes I think they fall asleep just waiting for the draft to start, and then they go and auto pick. Yeah, so I like it. Did you see the World Series of Poker scandal? Was I believe, I don't know, Cassandra, if you're referring to something else, please correct me, but I think that's where their top 2 finishers agreed to chop the prize in secret, because one of the guys was he got like a $1 million bonus for winning it from some company. So instead of winning like 1.3 million or 1.6 million, whatever it was, he used to get first place, you'd win 2.6 million. And so it actually made more sense for them to collude. And he was the short stack in the heads up. So it made more sense for the guy in the lead to blow the lead, because he would have made more money in second place if they split the pot 50-50. So I think that's what you're referring to, Cassandra. And I don't know if they came up with a punishment for these guys. They said that they were going to look into it. That's the last thing I heard about it. I personally don't care. You know, this happens all the time in fantasy football. Now, obviously, that's like you win much more money at the World Series of Poker, but like in fantasy, all the time. Like if the 2 guys in the championship, like if I'm in the championship, I'll get a call or a text from the other guy saying, "Do you want to split the pot?" And like just the winner will get the trophy. And I'm like, I usually am like, okay, if I think I have the better team, then no. You know, if I feel like I'm the underdog in the finals, I'll say yes. You know, I usually don't want to though, but if I feel like the other guy has like much better team, I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't think it's that big a deal. So, and Njoku went 9-10, by the way. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think these guys? Some people are saying they should be banned from the World Series of Poker. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they should. But based on how the World Series of Poker is run, I suspect they probably will be banned, and I think that's probably the right decision.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that it's just the integrity of any gambling thing. Once you get collusion in there, it becomes really messy. Especially when you're talking about sponsorship money and stuff like that. I can understand why they would do that.
So here's my counter to it. I think if there was a third player at the table and they're colluding, then I think that definitely should be banned. Like, because they're hurting a third player. But for them, it was just them. Like, there's no one is getting hurt. There's no like, is the victimless crime.
Well,
You
the
know,
sponsors are like the one that's paying him
that's
out the
true. That's
sponsorship
true.
money. Like they're essentially extorting that company.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, like I said, if there was more people involved and more players, then yeah, you can't have that. But I thought that okay, if there weren't sponsorships involved, theoretically, would you be okay with it, or do you
Oh
still
yeah,
think this is no good?
like if they're literally just splitting the pot, I think that makes perfect sense. Like I have
Okay,
no issue with that at all. It only becomes messy in this situation because of that sponsorship aspect.
that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know who the sponsor was, but yeah, I could see them being pissed off. All right, so Drake May goes. We're up now in round 10. I'm going to start Brandon I because I know you like him here. You also like Keon Coleman. We don't have a tight end, but we don't necessarily need one here. So we have Warren, Io, Coleman. Are we up? Yeah, we are up. There's Bateman, Scotabo, Williams, Spears, Stevenson, Stroud, Kraft.
I like Coleman best. I do also like Janu Smith, and I like Charbonnet here.
Okay, I mean, talk to me about Johnny Smith because he got traded. So I mean, we'll take Coleman right now, and then maybe you can convince me on Johnny Smith.
I mean, who else do they have? Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to pass the ball, and they've got DK Metcalf and no one else. I feel like Janu Smith is essentially their second receiver. I think that's why they brought him in. Think that they felt it made more sense to strengthen their run game by having two tight ends out there a lot of the time, and essentially their second receiver is Smith.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I just think that like I don't think he's going to do what he did in Miami though. You know what I mean?
I agree, but you're getting him as essentially the 12th tight end off the board.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, all right. Well, we can go John Smith at 11:03. Assuming that this guy doesn't take him, he took Andrews at 7:02. See, that's early for Andrews. Like a lot of strange picks here. Um,
Yeah.
Travis Hunter went 6:06. That's something I noticed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going John Smith. All right,
I would, yeah.
so okay, all right. Let's see here. We have some comments to get to. Um, sorry, I'm brushing my teeth. Not great. If there weren't sponsorship, it never would have happened, though. So that's the question is moot. That's true. They kept the money, but were stripped of the bracelet. Okay, where I suppose they weren't banned though, because I assume that you would have told me they were banned. So I guess they weren't banned. Yeah, dumped a 9-1 chip lead or something. Yeah, this guy had a massive stack, and he just like I was listening to like the shady stuff that happened. He would just like fold good hands. It was like so obvious. Um, and so what are the official criteria for DraftKings to make the determination? I don't think there's an official determination, or official criteria, I should say. I think it's at their own discretion, and they are pretty lenient. Like I have only had one draft canceled, and it was that Blake Bell one. Like it was egregious. I don't know if you saw it, Cassandra. It was so egregious. Like the guy, I forget who his first pick was, but he took Blake Bell at 201. And then he took some other guys who weren't going to be drafted or ever going to be drafted or ever going to play. It was like trying to make the worst team possible. Basically, he was like going to the bottom and selecting players. So you can't have something like that. But like like this draft that like this guy took Drake London 102. I really don't think they're going to cancel this. Because he like took real players, and like there is a defense, like we were saying, there is a defense of taking Drake London 102 because he's not going to fall to 211. And if this guy thinks that he's either the receiver 1 or receiver 2 after Chase, then like yeah, it makes sense. Like what if he really loves Atlanta? And I'm kind of like puzzled that he didn't take Penix. I feel like he should have taken Penix if he likes London that much.
Well, he should have taken Bijan Robinson if he loves Atlanta. Like
Yeah,
that would have made
well,
a lot of
yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah, and
Because
Penix goes here.
in our previous draft, there was that guy who just loved the Cowboys, and he took Dak
Mm-hmm.
Prescott first round and then George Pickens second round. Like
Yep.
that at least makes sense.
Yeah. So that wasn't a cancel. So like DraftKings can be lenient. I imagine they're also monitoring like the IP addresses. So theoretically, you don't need 12 friends. You could have 12 different computers, and like all with like just different screen names or user accounts for DraftKings. You could do that by yourself. And so I imagine that they're looking at the IP addresses of everyone. And if like it's like 2 or more, like maybe 3 or more people with the same IP address, then they're like, we got to look into this, So that I feel like they do that, but it does make sense to monitor this stuff just because there's so much money on the line. Like, can you imagine if they give out $2 million to first place and then it's found that like there was collusion involved? Like it's this massive lawsuits that will happen. So they have to protect themselves, not just players. They have to protect themselves too. So they're good.
Especially because the person who benefits might not even be the person who was colluding. Like, they could just
Right.
be a random person in the lobby. They're just going to benefit just as much as anyone else.
Yeah, 100%. No, I must have missed that part of the stream somehow that day when it was canceled. Yeah, I have to like find the video and like maybe I'll do a short video on it on the channel. All right, we're up in one pick that kind of like snuck up on me. We need a second quarterback. I want to start Garendo, but we need a second quarterback. There is Stafford, Young, Smith, Ward, Darnold. We can look into them. As far as other players, of Williams, White, Blue, Stafford, Thielen, Ray Davis, etc. Who do you like here?
I like Garendo best of everyone. I think Darnell Moody's still around. Is that right? I think if that's the case, that's good value. But Garendo's definitely there.
I'm not seeing Mooney, so I think he was taken.
I also like Tillman here as well. After Garendo as an option, but I do understand we need a second quarterback.
Yeah, we need let's look at really need a second quarterback. So we're looking at these guys. No stacking options. We didn't get JSN, so there's no Darnold. Who would you like out of Stafford, Young, Geno Smith? Who just went? Bryce Young went. So Stafford, Geno Smith, Cam Ward, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, and then the
I like Stafford.
Stafford, okay. Yeah, bye week works. Because you don't do not draft quarterbacks in the same bye week in best ball. It's okay in regular fantasy because you can just pick players up, but in best ball you can't make any roster adjustments. So if you're stuck with quarterbacks in the same bye week, you kind of get screwed there. All right, so let's take Stafford. So why Stafford? I'm going to pick.
I just think he has the more weekly upside than most of the other guys. I feel like he's got two solid receivers. I feel like they're going to be pretty solid this year, the Rams, and I feel like their defense isn't so good that they're just going to be able to run out games.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to stack him with Higbee in round 19. And I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Tutu Atwell as maybe a third receiver there?
For me, I think he probably is the third receiver. I feel like he's going to have some pretty solid weeks, but at the same time, I think his upside in fantasy is pretty low. Outside of very deep league.
Yeah, I think it would take an injury to one of the top guys for him to do anything. They did pay him $10 million though for this year, so that is something. But I agree. I like the upside's not really there, but there could be injury. You know, Adams is 32 or 33. Nakua always seems to get hurt, so like I think there's definitely a path for him to be fine this year. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying about the lack of upside overall. Does anything else stand out to you here? Tucker Kraft went 1201. Marvin Mims went 1205, which it makes sense.
I think the biggest thing that jumps out is just how bad people are at getting upside running backs late in drafts. Look at the kind of running backs that are going off the board and think, why would you take any of those guys when there's other players who are just going to win you your league straight out?
Do you like any of the running backs taken round 11 onward except for Garendo?
I mean, Charbonnet best, then Garendo, and then no. Look, at least Tyjae Spears, I feel like if Tony Pollard goes down, Spears is probably the lead running back. He doesn't have a lot of value, but he's got more value than anyone else there. So he's the only other one that would mildly interest me. Everyone else is going to end up in a committee, even if there's an injury ahead of them.
Yeah,
Ray Davis would have been perfect.
Right. Ray Davis just went. Yeah, Spears, I would have been my favorite of the non-Garendo running backs around 11 onward, just because of what you said. And also Tennessee upgraded the offensive line. You know, they got the guy from Pittsburgh. I can't remember his name right now. And Dan Moore. And then they which moves their Latham to right tackle. And then they got Zeitler from Detroit. So it feels like they've done enough to strengthen the offensive line. It's not great or anything, but it's definitely better than it was before. So but yeah, I mean, if you look at like Eckler, there's zero upside with Eckler. Like there's really no reason to draft Eckler right now. We talked about Tootin. Same thing with Bigsby. Like Bigsby was better than ATN last year, but like he's in a 3-man committee now, so it's just so hard to justify it. Same thing with Jaden Blue, 3-man committee. You know, Scatabo, 3-man committee. Jalen Warren is like another one of these crappy starting running backs. You know?
Yeah, and you've got someone like you've got a heap of guys that would be absolute studs if they start. I kind of get the Jaden Blue thing because he may be the lead running back. He probably won't be, but I could see a path where it happens. But none of these other guys are going to be the lead running back. It's just not going to happen. Like, you had Rashad White sitting there. Like,
Yeah.
Rashad White gets one Bucky Irving injury, and all of a sudden he's a stud.
Yeah, and he's already doing stuff. He's going to be on the field in third downs. So,
Yeah.
he at least has a floor. Like if all your running backs crap the bed, like there's a chance that White is in your lineup as he catches 6 passes for 40 yards and maybe gets a touchdown. That's 16 DraftKings points. Like it's not bad. Like, and it can happen. Like even if Irving's playing, that can happen. So. I like he's one of the guys I've drafted. I've drafted Garendo and Davis more, but I like White as well. So we're up in 2 picks. I wouldn't mind Cam Ward here as a third quarterback. We need 3. So there's Benson, I think is interesting. Algier, Jalen Wright. Who do you like? Who's available?
I like Algier best. Hunter Henry's my next tight end off the board. I don't love Cam Ward because I feel like we can get Anthony Richardson around later.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so how many? We have 4 running backs, so we can definitely take Algier. Let's do that. And then, so who would you take now? Because we're up in 4 picks. So,
I feel like we might need a tight end, but there's no screaming value. Like realistically, my favorite next player is Darren Waller, definitely Darren Waller.
Definitely, really.
Yeah, that's potentially taking over the Jonnu Smith role. Jonnu Smith was a top 5 tight end last season. You have that upside. You don't have that upside with any other player here.
Yeah. Do you think we can get him later? His ADP might be rising just because he's kind of new on the scene. So may not have adjusted. So yeah, if Benson's gone, so do you would you take Waller over Wright and Ward? I mean, Ward.
I would personally.
Ward just went. So okay,
yeah.
all right.
No, I definitely would personally. There's no one else here I particularly love.
Well, hold on. Bye weeks. Hold on. Yeah, it works out. Okay, bye week works out. So that's our pick. Okay, Darren Waller is our second tight end. My concern with him, obviously, his age and injury history. But you're right. Like he could have just insane weeks. I'd be shocked if he plays the whole year. But if he gives you like 10 weeks and like 5 of them, he's like catching 6 passes and maybe scoring touchdowns, like round 15 seems pretty good for that. So plus we have Jonnu Smith, so I think we're okay at tight end.
Yeah, if you think about the upside you're getting, I mean, your ultimate goal is to have the best team in not only this league but overall.
Yeah.
Darren Waller gives you more chance of doing that than any other player you can get here.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely true. Although I would vote for like Jalen Wright is maybe doing that because if Achane goes down, then he's going to have a massive week, a massive season.
Do you think he's going to get the receiving work though? Like I worry about someone like an Alexander Mattison coming in and doing a whole heap of the third down work if Achane goes down.
I think he could. I don't like. I wouldn't go. What did he do last year receiving wise? Did he do anything? I mean, caught 2 passes here. He didn't really get a chance to do much. I mean, yeah, he didn't really. He's saw 6 targets the whole year. I don't. I mean, I can't remember what he did in college. Did he just not catch many passes in college?
It wasn't much of the receiving back. I mean, not that many players do, admittedly, but I think of him as being an early down guy. I struggle to see him being an every down back.
Okay.
It's the same issue with Trey Benson, essentially.
Yeah. I feel like people want Benson to be good, and I don't know. Jalen Wright, he caught 22 passes in his junior year. So I think he could. I don't know. I mean, Madison. I don't know if Madison even makes a team. So I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I really not sure. I don't really trust Mike McDaniel to do the right thing anyway. So we've seen him struggle when his injuries and when the starters have gone down. So I don't trust him at all. Cassandra asking if you had to start right now on a 5-unit week 1 play, would it be Cleveland plus 5.5? I would say no, because it might be my 8-unit play. It might be my pick of the month. I love the Browns. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals are the most overrated team in the NFL. The Browns, their stadium's the house of horrors for Joe Burrow. They always lose there. I don't trust the offensive line to block Garrett. And the Bengals always start super slowly. Like it just feels like so many reasons to take the Browns in week 1. I think the Browns are going to win outright. So yeah, I would take the money line. I would take the +5.5. Hopefully, it gets to +6. Deontay Thornton's off the board. All right, we're up in 2 picks. What do we have? We have 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 6 receivers, 2 tight ends. You were mentioning the Colts quarterbacks. There's Richardson here. Let's see the quarterback situation for these 2 teams. They have 3 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks. So never mind, Richardson goes. So we don't get Richardson. I don't know if you want any of these bums. We could wait on them. Anyway, so we have Dubs, Palmer, Okonkwo, Pat Bryant, Taylor Shipley. I'm going to start Shipley. What are your thoughts on this?
I like DJ Giddens.
Okay.
I think Giddens has plenty of value as the likely backup, but I'm happy with Shipley as well. I like both of them.
Let's say Giddens. I haven't drafted Giddens very much. So, all right. So we have 6 running backs, 6 receivers. Let's look at the quarterbacks real quick. Do any of these guys stand out to you as draftable?
I mean, I feel like Wilson's more likely to be better than Shock, but Shock's more likely to play all season. That's not to say he will, but I feel like of those 2, he's the one that would play all season. I feel like we need one of those 2.
Yeah, it feels like we can get one later, So we're up right now. Anyone stand out to you here?
I mean, Shipley's probably the best available here. The only other one that's of any interest is probably of the wide receivers. I don't even see any wide receivers I like there. So, yeah, I think Shipley makes sense.
Okay. All right. We'll take Shipley. He's potentially a league winner. Now, we do have Barkley. So, but it's 17th round. So, it's not like we're taking him 10th round. You don't, you don't like Pat Bryant. I mean, you mentioned that you like Mims more as a receiver too.
I see what they're doing there, but they seem more inclined to take a committee approach at wide receiver in general. It's possible Bryant becomes their number 2, and you're getting him pretty cheap, so I don't mind him in this range.
Okay. Sean Payton called him the next Marcus Colston? It's coach speak, obviously, so can't really trust it, but that's what he said. Sue says you guys are once again ignoring the legendary Alec Ingold.
Hey, look, he's still available. Don't give up on us yet.
That's true. We could take him round 20 as our 8th running back. Pat Bryant goes, so we don't get him on the way back. We need a 3rd tight end, but that could always be Higbee, and it probably really should be Higbee because we have Stafford. But we need at least one more receiver. We need at least one more tight end, and then the other pick could be basically anything.
Quarterback.
Quarterback. But if it's all terrible players, then I don't think we need to force the issue.
We could go Daniel Jones potentially if he's still available, and at the end there.
No, he went round 1409.
Oh, that is absolutely wild.
That's way.
I guess the same guy took both, but yeah,
the same guy took both. Who's the other quarterback? Dak Prescott. So, that's not a good idea. So, if Richardson's your 4th quarterback, I like that makes more sense. Not that I like 4 quarterbacks, but at least your 3rd quarterback is the Colts quarterback. But here in this situation, he really only has 2 quarterbacks because it's like you're going to get Prescott or the Colts quarterback unless one is traded. Just because they can't all play, obviously. Now maybe they play half games, that'll hurt you more. So when the week 11 or the week 10 bye rolls around, you're only gonna have one option, which can be a little scary. And we faced that with only 2 quarterbacks, but it's not like we had a choice. Higbee goes. That's very sad. We could just take Ferguson. So I'm not too concerned about that. I have not drafted Ferguson very much, but so I'm more open to drafting him. By the way, who's this guy who took Ferguson? I can't believe it. Powder for me. So he's also stuck with two quarterbacks. Yeah. Look. We took Hurts early, so I don't think it's like terrible if we come away with only 2 quarterbacks, but I ideally like to have at least 3 of every position. But if you do come away with 2 quarterbacks, it should be if you drafted one early, if you got one of the top 5. Now, if you drafted a quarterback around 9 and then 11, and then you only have these 2 guys, I think you could be in trouble. But we have Hurts, who's probably going to be in our lineup almost all the time. If you just look at his stats last year, if he duplicates what he did last year, 19, 24, this is 15. Everyone was out there. 17, 21, 22, 35, 29, 31, 18, 15, 17. And he had a 4 here, but he got hurt. And then, yeah, that's it. So, yeah, I look, there are what, 2 games where you didn't hit 17, and one of them, everyone is out. So, yeah, so I'm not like too worried about it. All right, we're on the clock. We need a tight end. Do you want to take Ferguson?
I like Taysom Hill better. Would you take Russell Wilson though?
Let's hold on. Let's have this conversation. Let's say some Hill. Let's have this conversation. Hey, look, if you told me Russell Wilson was going to start all year, then yeah, I'd be fine with it. But like by the time the buys roll around, he may not be starting. So like, what's the point, right?
Yeah,
I don't see anyone who's necessarily going to be starting all year here.
I agree.
So like, unless you want to sell me on Jackson Dart, who could
I do not want to sell you on Jackson Dart.
All right, well, okay, so we're not going to take a second quarterback or third quarterback. All right, we're up here. Do you see anyone you like?
I like Keenan Allen.
Okay, I could see that. Not on a team yet, but he could easily be by next month or 2 months from now. So let's see Keenan Allen. So we have 2 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 7 receivers, 3 tight ends. So if we don't draft a quarterback in round 20, which like we'll see who's available. If maybe Russell Wilson's available in round 20, maybe we'll take him just because like who cares, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. And like with Jack, see, I'd rather have like Jackson Dart than Russell Wilson, only because I think by like the 1 week that matters is week 9 when Hurts has a bye, or like late in the year if Hurts misses like a game or 2. Like week 9 onward, I think there's a better chance that Jackson Dart is starting than Russell Wilson. Whereas like weeks 1 through 8, or I should say weeks 1 through 7 when Stafford is a week 8 bye. Weeks 1 through 7, like do you see Russell Wilson outscoring Jalen Hurts in like both scenarios?
I mean, if he does, it's only by a couple of points anyway.
Right. So I just don't see the point of taking Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think ultimately, if you're aiming to win, you have to take a big swing somewhere, and I feel like we can take better big swings. Like, for example, good chance Arian Smith's still going to be available with this last pick, and you know how we both love him.
Yeah, no, I love Arian Smith. Russell Wilson just went. Shedeur Sanders goes before Russell Wilson. He may not be on the roster, but sure.
Wild.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, look, you're right. Like, you need to take big swings on guys, and taking Jackson Dart or Russell Wilson here just doesn't feel like a winning move. If we didn't have Hurts and we had Stafford and like Sam Darnold, then I could see it. But there's I feel like there's no point. And if Hurts gets injured, we're not gonna leave. We're not gonna win the $2 million anyway. So, that's basically how I stand on it. But I could understand if like people want the security of the 3 quarterbacks. I get it. Walt wants Higbee.
I was shocked as well. I didn't know. I hit it into my expression, but I think we were all feeling that way.
Not sure I've ever seen Walt not take 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, look, I mean, I've done it. I've taken 2 before, not often, but I've done it. Do a second draft. I'm injured and sick and bored. We're up on 2 hours, Cassandra. I feel you. I wish I could help there. We could do a draft tomorrow. I don't know, but like we're up on 2 hours. I have to get some work done for the website. I have to do. I have to proofread and post the Bengals season preview. I need to post another fantasy article. I was going to do a short video as well. I don't know what on, but I was going to do maybe a short video. And I also have to read this contract I got sent from this new company we're going to be working with that could post or at least the plan is that they're going to have like better comment boards on the website and like other interactive stuff like live chats and stuff. So they sent me a contract and I have to read it tonight. Unless it's super long, then I'll just send it to my my lawyer. But I haven't opened it yet, so I have to check that out. And also, I have to post first round leaders for the golf tournament. I was so distracted today because I had like meetings and stuff. A meeting with that company, and we had just other stuff. Like I had to go to the grocery store and stuff, so I just didn't get a chance. So I saw Cassandra. I'm sorry. I just going to 3 hours for this would just be too tough for me. So let's we're up in round 20. Let's go Arian Smith. Let's look him up unless someone took him. There he goes. We'll draft Arian Smith as our 8th receiver. And yeah, we get the guy with high upside in round 20, which is nice. All right, so real quick review of our team. So Jalen Hurts, we went Eagle stack. Let's just say this: Jalen Hurts plus Brown plus Barkley, and also plus Shipley later. I like that stack a lot. Our other running backs are Jacobs, Swift, and then some high upside guys like Garendo, Algier, Giddens, and then Shipley. As I mentioned, receivers are AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Jordan Addison, Matthew Golden, Emeka Ibuka, Keon Coleman, and then a couple guys late in Keenan Allen and Arian Smith. Our tight ends are Jonnu Smith. Basically the two guys involved with the Dolphins trades, Jonnu Smith, Darren Waller, and then we took Taysom Hill late. And then the other quarterback was Matthew Stafford. So I like this team a lot. And if you look at like the rest of the draft, just feels like pretty underwhelming here overall. Lots of bad picks in this draft. Some good ones though. Some guys fell, and some other people got values. For example, Odunze went 7-11, but this guy took Jackson and Daniels. He also took Goff. Like I don't look if you're going to do that. Look, if you're going to do this domino here with Jackson Daniels, don't draft another quarterback. Just don't. Like, there's really no point. Goff is never going to beat these guys, like ever. Like, it's going to be one or the other, and that's it. So don't draft a third quarterback. But yeah, like I said, some other good picks here. I don't know why this guy didn't take Penix. He took London 102, but interesting draft to say the least. It was pretty bizarre. So any final thoughts here or anything else?
I love our first 7 rounds. I think our first 7 rounds are fantastic. We got a heap of value, and it looks really strong. Things didn't quite fall for us towards the end. There are a lot of our favorite players going a little bit earlier. But ultimately, I think this is a really strong team. If Hurts can stay healthy and Stafford and he just get the right matchups at the right times, this team's going to be a monster.
Yeah, let's hope it's the winner. That would be awesome. Let's see.
I will split the money.
let's do it. Well, look, if this wins, and if you can remember this was the team, then yeah, we will split the $2 million. So
you will hurt him. You will hurt him, people. I've witnessed.
Look, I don't mind.
Look, you witnessed it.
Let's do it. I don't. After taxes, we will split it. So whatever the taxes is, after that, we'll split it. Because I mean, look, you basically drafted this team. I was asking you questions, and you drafted this team. So and I like this team a lot. I think it has a good chance. So yeah, that'd be cool for the. Yeah, I think this seems promising. I think it does. Just draft the Walt's perfect draft: Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Chase Brown, Chuba, Rashee Rice, McCarthy, and Higbee. Bench: Aaron Jones, Caleb Johnson, Odunze, Garendo, Ricky Pearsall. That seems like a great team. I like the team a lot. I know Ben doesn't like Rice, but I'm higher on him than he is. Oh, and Ridley, nice.
Third round, it seems.
What'd you say?
We must have got him in the third round if he's got Neighbors and Thomas already, so that's a lot better.
Yeah, so he took Neighbors. Assume he had like 111 or around 112. So he got Neighbors and then Brian Thomas and then Chase Brown in the third round, and Rice in the fourth round. Maybe it's a 10-team league.
Could be a 10-team league, admittedly. That's a 10-team league. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, so I assume this is Chase Brown 310, Rashee Rice 401, Chuba Hubbard 510. Calvin Ridley 601, Pearsall 710, or Caleb Johnson 710, Ricky Pearsall 801. That seems like, I mean, even if 10 teams seems like a really good draft. Yeah, 10-person draft. Yeah, that's really good team, the boss. I love it. It feels like you can definitely win this one. Okay, so yeah, thanks guys for watching the show and commenting. Really appreciate it as always. Going to be back tomorrow with Kenny. I probably should have asked them what we're going to talk about today. We don't have a plan right now, but I will text them early tomorrow and we'll figure it out. So I definitely check out Ben's website here, ffdfantasyfootball.com. Ben, you want to talk about this for a second before we head out?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel. I'm doing some deep dives on every single position's rankings. Plus, if you need personalized rankings for your leagues, because your league's got some funky settings, or you just want to make sure you're selecting the right positions at the right times, I will do that for a very low fee. Had a lot of people winning their first leagues doing that last year. I've been doing that for 2 years now, and I'm looking forward to another season of helping people out. So make sure you email me or hit me up on the side or on my socials if you need any help with that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely check it out. You can see all the accolades there. Ben is consistently ranked in the top 10 of in-season rankings. So definitely check out that website. Check out walterfootball.com for content as well. And please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. And Cassandra promoting the Ben's site is invaluable. So yeah, totally agree. I mean, like I said, those accolades definitely stand out. And so does his rankings and on Fantasy Pros. All right, Ben, it's great to have you on these 3 weeks. I know your holiday is about to end. I can't wait to your next holiday so you can come on more often. But yeah, I don't know exactly when that is, but at least all the stuff is fixed in your apartment, so that's definitely a nice thing. So
Yeah,
all right,
no more going swimming in my recording room. Is going to be
yeah.
very pleasant, especially summer hits.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Especially in the winter. It's
Yeah.
pretty brutal. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you then.